Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the Monday Suffolk Non-League Show. I'm James. Here's Adam. We are live across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. No Monday Night Blues here. We are live for the next, I think we're probably going to be here for about 5 hours. For
5 days.
5 days. Yeah, I reckon you could be right. It's the review show tonight. We are going to be going through all of the leagues that we normally cover on the show and having a bit of a roundup to see how various clubs are doing and giving our grades and performances. And not only will you be seeing myself and Alex and Adam talking about each club, we have got a whole host of guests from all of the divisions coming on the show tonight. So we're really excited to be able to talk to you guys and your clubs. And it should be an absolutely bumper episode. It's going to be chaotic. You've got a 5-minute warning. Before we get everything all tidied and done up, you've got 5 minutes to go and make yourself a coffee if you haven't done so already, because it's going to be an amazing show. Adam, how are you, mate? Anyway, you doing well?
Yeah, very good, thank you. I've been building myself up for this all week.
Same.
I think we're going to get lots of people drop on throughout the show as well, and we'll probably get more people say they want to come on. So it really is an open house tonight to actually pile in and rank what you've seen. No, it genuinely is. This is like try and do 4 of these a year. When we did the admin last night just to compile it, we realised quite how big this is going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be a chaotic show, but we really can't wait for you guys to get involved. We'll explain how we're going to go through the rankings as we progress through the show. But first of all, as we always do, we just want to give, first of all, an absolutely massive shout out to all of our Ko-fi and Patreon members of the channel. You guys are absolutely superb with what you've managed to do. You have helped me invest in a new microphone. Adam's got a new microphone. We've now got lighting for the show. We've been able to sort out the year subscription for the software that we use, which is absolutely amazing. And along with our sponsors, all of our Patreon and Ko-fi members are making that happen. So we really, really appreciate all of you guys. All of your details are on the screen. If you want to become either a Patreon or a Ko-fi member, links for both of those will be in the description below. Adam, as always, I'm going to hand it over to you to talk about the club partnership program very quickly. How do clubs get involved if they want to come on the show?
Nice and simple. Drop me a DM. Costs absolutely nothing to be a partner club, but it's done at club level. So every week we send the details of the show on just for you to give a retweet out to. We get your details on here, and as you'll see tonight, a lot of our partner clubs are the ones that we've been able to hook up with and get the guests on, and it basically helps us have someone to reach out to and improve coverage. Of course, so it's kind of like we want to help you if you don't mind helping us a bit as well. Like, we can't do marketing very well, and this seems to work an absolute treat. And it really does go both ways for us, and hopefully we can carry on working with the teams on it. But it's got much bigger in the last week. Yeah,
definitely. We've had quite a few people added onto the list, haven't we?
We have. We're going to probably need to go into a 4th column soon.
Or just make another graphic. Either way,
yeah.
We're absolutely fine. And also, as well, we just want to say a massive thank you to our sponsors. And here is a quick video. A massive thank you to all of our sponsors for the Suffolk Non-League Show: GBS, Starling & Lock, Matchday Marketing, and Your Shirts. GBS are a family-run construction company in Ipswich operating nationwide with over 30 years experience, offering fire protection, diamond drilling, commercial building, health and safety, and asbestos removal. Starling & Lock, self-employed electrician in the Stowmarket and Suffolk area since 1989, offering domestic work and certificates for people buying and selling houses. An NIC/EIC member. Matchday Marketing, sports marketing and branding company, helping enhance the image and profile of grassroots and non-league clubs at a very low cost, utilising over 20 plus years in the game. Your Shirts, eye-catching, professional-looking garments for your business, team, club or organisation, with a range of printing methods to cover all individual needs. Links for all of these companies will be in the description below. Go and check them out and tell them that DeeJam has sent you. Adam, what did you make of that? Huh?
Never heard the sexy Hollywood voiceover voice before, James. It's good.
I'm born for radio, mate. I'm born for radio.
You've got a face for radio, I'll tell you that much.
This is not a face for the screen. Alex, I want to bring you into the chat, my man, because you're going to be a massive part of tonight's show. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Loving the video. Loving that.
At least you didn't have to trip over your words this week, mate.
No, every guest that comes on tonight, if they don't mention the sponsorship video and how good it was, they're just getting kicked out straight away. Just a warning for everyone who's waiting in the chat. But yeah, I want to just bring everyone's hellos up onto the screen before we kind of kick off of today's show. We got Ryan Johnson who's in the house. Hello, mate. Hope you're doing well. Shem, evening all. Connor Ellis, good evening. Michael Crofer, good evening, boys. Connor Ellis again, good evening, Michael. Obviously a personal message between the two of them. Glenn, good evening, gents. Good evening, Ellis. There you go, back and forth, love it. COD Army's in the building. Evening, lads. Bournevale Reserves. Evening, lads. Matchday Marketing. Evening, chaps. Maverick UK. Hello, everyone. Tony Stone. Evening, all. Hope you're doing well. Fergus is in the building as well. Addy Ellis. Evening, everybody. Stuart Spreadbridge is here. Jamie Sandlands is here. Dan Barnard, look at him going more high tech now, pre-recording. Yeah, mate, you got to do it. You got to do it. Sponsorship lockdown video, love that. What's the first word before wasp? So we're already
We're on it already.
Absolutely brilliant.
I don't know.
Official Westerfield, evening, chaps. Evening, Matchday Marketing. Loving the video. Cheers, guys. Absolutely love it. Just a very quick thing. If there are anybody in the chat, I will put something in there in a moment. If you are one of those people that is not going to be on for later on in the show, do you mind just very quickly just dropping out? Because apparently we're only allowed 10 people at a maximum time on here. Much appreciated, Adam. If you can just follow it up in the private chat. Yeah, I didn't realize that only 10 people can. I didn't realize. I thought it was 10 people on the screen. But there we go. There we go. It is what it is. So yeah, tonight, how we're going to do things. We're going to be going through a ranking of all of the football clubs that we normally talk about on the show. So what we're going to be doing is Adam and Alex and myself have sat down and we've agreed we're going to give each club a ranking of either A, B, or C. So A is that the club is doing amazingly well or performing above expectations. B is kind of middle of the range. They're not doing bad, but they're not doing amazingly well. C is we expected better, or they're just not performing up to the certain standards.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yep.
Yeah. What we want from all of you guys in the chat is to leave us your comments for everybody, for the clubs that we're talking about. So what we want you to do, for example, Needham's going to be the first thing we talk about. We want you to type in Needham and then the rating that you give them as well. All right. There you go. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Just before we do go any further as well, I just want to just quickly point out, we do have some results to just briefly talk about before we jump into tonight's one. So during the week, these were the last games before lockdown. The one result from the Southern League Premier was Leiston getting a 1-0 win against Kings Langley. So they got their first win of the season. So a massive, massive well done to everybody connected with Leiston. It's good to get that the monkey off your back there. Sorry?
It's what we asked for last week, though, wasn't it?
We did. We did indeed. Isthmian North, AFC Sudbury, 1-1 against Haybridge Swifts. In the Thurlow Nunn Premier, we had Hadley 2, FC Clacton 2, Mildenhall 3, Swaffham 1, Woodbridge 1, Witton United 4. And then in the Thurlow Nunn North, we had Framlingham 0, Ipswich 5, Haverhill 0, Cornard 3, Needham 1, Leiston Reserves 2, which is the game we covered on the Matchday Experience. After tonight's show, go and check it out if you haven't done so already. Alex, you were there. It was a very good game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, two very youthful sides battling it out. It was a very good game.
Yeah, it was a really, really decent affair. Norwich CBS 2, Dis Town 2, Sheringham 1, Mulbarton 5, Kings Lynn 1, Fakenham 2, Wisbeach 1, March Town 5. So let's get into our review then. Let's start this off, Adam. We're going to go straight away into the Southern League Premier Central, rather. So if we kick things off then with Needham Market, I think it's a very easy grade to give straight away off the bat. I don't really think there's much discussion to be had on this one. It's an A.
Yeah.
It's a definite A.
Can't dispute the start that Needham have made, and they're doing great bits for the county, really. Like signings they've made in the summer have done absolute bits.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just an unbelievable start. 7 games in, they're unbeaten, 10 plus goal difference. They're only in second place because of goal difference.
Yeah.
Performing, I think most people would expect them to be near the playoffs But I think this season they've kind of gone up another level, and really probably lockdowns come at the worst time for them. Let's be honest, because they were on a bit of a roll this season. So yeah, for me, Needham get an A. Adam, Lowestoft, what rating are you giving them?
Lowestoft are obviously a team that you always associate with having heady heights, and I think they'll think that they're probably in 14th place, slightly unhappy, when they look at what Needham are achieving. It's a B for me, like with where they are, but it's very much mid-table form. They've kept the goal difference under control as well. A few more games need to play out in this league to separate that mid-table, because it's far, far too compact from 5th all the way down, really, to pretty much where Lowestoft are.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, before we get you to talk about Leiston, we do have our first guest of the evening. I'm delighted to be able to say that we can welcome Hannah Parnell into the studio. Hannah, how are you doing?
I'm all right.
How has things been going from your perspective for Leiston? You've been absolutely smashing it, haven't you? From
Yeah, I haven't been doing too bad.
Some of your photography's been on the Emirates FA Cup Twitter page.
Nice to get a bit of recognition, I suppose, in terms of what you're doing. Is it your first season with Leiston as well?
I started because I worked for the East Anglian before last season, and then I started in Leiston at February, the game before lockdown.
Oh, right. What timing?
Yeah.
It's all going deja vu now as well.
Yeah.
So how have you found things? Obviously, I know you are mainly concentrating on what it is that you're doing, which is the photography side. And if anybody hasn't checked out Hannah's work, make sure you go and follow her on Twitter, because honestly, some of the work is absolutely superb. We talk about it on a weekly basis after the show. She's blushing. You can't see, but she's blushing. So how do you think things are going on the pitch for Leiston? I think most people would have, let's be honest, expected a better start for them.
Yeah, I would say so. And sort of speaking to the fans and also my team, my media team, we all say the same thing. However, the Emirates FA Cup run, we were all so proud and so pleased.
Yeah. And you came close against Barnet as well.
Yeah, I know.
Let down by some difficult decisions in the end, I think, that went against you. I think it's obviously quite easy to sort of say judge everything on league form. There's been a lot of new players bed in. I know the management are really going with the younger players, but would you say that FA Cup run and what you've done there has been a real sort of turning point in terms of keeping the team together?
Yeah, it has been. And I'm enjoying seeing all the sort of new players in, because I saw a lot. Obviously, last season I saw a couple, because I did a few matches for Leiston for the East Anglian. And it was sort of nice to meet the new signings as well. Sort of in I think it was May time, maybe. I met Liam Jackson and Finley Barnes.
Yeah,
when they first signed. So
I remember watching those videos on Twitter. They were and the sort of introduction to them. They've really stepped up their marketing, haven't they? From from a Twitter, Facebook side of things, they've really kind of upped their game.
Yeah, definitely. So I was brought in February, and that was the goal, basically, to get Leiston out there on social media.
Yeah.
So yes, exciting.
I think that what they kind of needed that as well, because obviously with management changing and stuff like that, people are only seeing kind of not too much negative, but a little bit negative side. So I think getting the positive side out there with the pictures and obviously with the FA Cup run that you had, and obviously the result that I know it's going into lockdown again, but obviously that result was a big result midweek.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, how important was that to just before the lockdown to not have too much negativity going into it? Because 4 weeks is a long time to just sit there and think about how the season's gone. How massive is that win, just to kind of ease the pressure a little bit?
Oh, so important, so important. Like speaking to the players and their families afterwards. That was so much better, and it was so needed. So needed.
Yeah. Alex, I've got to put the pressure on you, mate. What's your rating for Leiston now the Hannah's in the building? What are you saying?
Yeah, it's to say, if you go by the league table and the way that things are going at the moment, I am going to have to turn around and say a C, just because you do kind of expect Leiston to be up there a little bit more, especially with the players that they have had coming. But as I say, this is only a little bit in. Hopefully they'll pick up and obviously become a A side. Hopefully,
I think it's interesting because if you like mix in the FA Cup form, you could call the first quarter of the season a B, couldn't you? But if you do it based off the league tables, which we're like looking at to do
at
the minute, it's a rocky start, but we've got that win in the bag now, and hopefully we can now push on and.
Well, that's the thing. That's what we all want. We want our local sides to do well.
Exactly.
You don't want to sit here and turn around and say that they're not doing very well at the moment, and you want them to be able to push through.
Look at Leiston, down in the relegation.
But no,
I'm the first to tell them if they're rubbish. So.
But you must get a very good perspective, like emotion wise, obviously, because you're focusing, especially with the players and the fans, you're focusing on the emotion on the actual game day. So that must be quite exciting for yourself, obviously, with the win as well.
I love it, and it's something I've always loved.
Yeah.
Non-league is so special.
Oh, yeah.
One final question from me. Have you seen much in terms of the performances over the last few weeks that would indicate that things are going to be getting better as and when we resume? Because that's the most important thing. Whilst things are not necessarily going your way, that there are signs of improvement. If you're just seeing the same thing week in, week out with no signs of it, that can often get people down a little bit. But have you seen enough to kind of convince you that things are going to change?
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Any other questions, boys? Any other questions?
No, just the comment on the Matchday Marketing's put something really good in there, like something that I'd agree with. In that, like, there's been some quality stuff in there. It's good to get confidence flying in.
Definitely, Hannah. If people want to find your work and see what you're up to, whereabouts on social media can they find you?
So I'm marketed as Parnell Photo on Twitter and Instagram, and also I'm in business with the videographer at Leiston, Ben, as well. So you can find our stuff on BVH Media. Yeah.
Definitely. I'm turning my hat around this way because somebody in the chat has made a comment about all of our hats.
I might take mine off in a minute.
Absolutely brilliant. Hannah, really appreciate you coming on tonight. It's been good chatting to you, and keep up all the work that you're doing. And as I said, hopefully we can start seeing Leiston climbing their way up our table and into the top half.
Thank you for taking Hannah. Number one slot as well.
Cheers, Hannah. Cheers. That was a really good insight. Really, really, really good to see. And, it's interesting because we're going to have a lot of players, we're going to have a lot of management coming on, but to have somebody who's actually be able to sit there and, as you quite rightly said, Alex, to capture the emotion of what's going on at a football club, that was a really interesting chat.
It's good. This is what non-league's all about. Non-league is about the passion, the emotion, and, the things that you don't expect a club to do every day. So when you get to capture that, that's good. And go and check out our photos. The photos are very good.
Yeah, definitely. Just for the people who are making comments about the hat, I now have a halo directly above my head, which is shining a light on me. If I don't have this hat on, I will be blinded by the end of the show. I'm sorry, but that's just...
You wait until my floodlight turns up this week.
Yeah, it's one of the investments that we've been able to put in, thanks to everyone who's been sponsoring patrons, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's that's our thought we just mentioned that. So let's move on from the Southern League to the Isthmian North. First of all, we have AFC Sudbury, who I think this is a tough one. I don't know how I'm going to rank this. I think I'm going to give him a B, because I think most people would expect Sudbury to be there or thereabouts come the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at the chasing pack behind them, who do have a lot, who do have games in hand on them, 3 wins, 3 draws, and 2 losses is not it's not an A performance, but again, it's not that bad in terms of I'm worrying about them, because we've seen in this division, a couple of games ago, they were right near the bottom, weren't they? We were talking about, let's try and get a win for Sudbury and let's break them into the top half, etc. Now, with a couple of wins, that's all it takes. And all of a sudden they've climbed up the table and they're now sitting in second place. It's a bonkers league. But for me, I'm going to go with a B. Adam, Berry Town, I don't really think there's much to be said on this, is there really?
But for me, Bury are doing it right off the pitch and on the pitch for a good all-round performance. Obviously, spoke to Russell last week, and they've made. I wasn't actually sure how their players would fit. That they didn't really do too much business in the summer, and I wasn't sure how Carlos would fit going in there. I was almost a bit critical of the move. I've been proven completely wrong, and it's an A from me. And this league, games in hand are the killer, and that they've got them by the bucket load.
Yeah, definitely. And again, Alex, I feel like this is going to be a bit of a trending theme throughout the show tonight. But from Felix, though, we do have a guest. He's been patiently waiting to come on.
Not being put on the spot. It's brilliant.
I'm twice in a row, mate. This is how things are going to go. I'm delighted to be able to say that from Felixstowe and Walton, we have got Stuart Ainsley. Stuart, how are you doing, mate? You well?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Good. No worries at all. And just for everyone who didn't know, Stuart scored a goal at Anfield, which I thought was very impressive.
Most people do know that. I think I told most people in Suffolk non-league, to be honest. If you don't know, you're very lucky.
Let the ref know before each game.
Yeah, and after.
Yeah, exactly. So, Stuart, from your perspective, then, from how Felixstowe started, I suppose it's probably maybe a bit too early to be kind of grading things from how things have been going, because you've had a lot of cup games to contend with, and as a result, your league form is not a true reflection of whereabouts you guys are. But 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. How do you kind of reflect on the season so far?
We're quite pleased with the season so far. We've played, I think, 10 competitive games and only lost 1 in 90 minutes out of 10 games, which isn't bad. The game we did lose on penalties in the FA Cup. We feel a couple of the draws in the league should have been wins as well. So we're not too far away, and we were gutted that the season's come to a halt so far, because we were flying one of the last 3 games quite comfortably. So it's tough, but there's kind of obviously there's bigger things going on in the world at the moment. So you just have to sit tight, and hopefully we can get back going again soon.
Yeah, last season was quite difficult for Felixstowe, Stuart, and this season it seems to be a complete change of pace altogether. Like the FA Trophy run that's gone on is absolutely phenomenal, and in the league as well. Like obviously, you've played fewer games than a lot of teams, and you're holding your own there as well. What would you say has been the key to that change? We've brought some better players in, to be honest with you. We've brought players from higher leagues rather than maybe players from leagues 2 leagues below. And you can really tell it makes a big difference when you bring players in that you can give them the ball and they'll keep it for you and things like that. And it's having the belief that you look around the change room, we've got probably a squad of 20, 21, 22, and every single one of those is capable of playing at this level. And that's it brings the competitiveness out of every player, and everyone knows that if they don't have a good game, they might not be playing next week. So it's a good squad to have. It's a good place to be. It's decent.
Definitely. Alex?
My rating is purely just going on the league. I'm going to say a B, because it's so difficult because of the amount of games that you've played in the league. It's when you've only played a couple of games, but you're not losing, which is one of the biggest bonuses. Yeah,
it's like last year there'd have been times where we went 1-0 down, 2-0 down, and we'd have crumbled last year, and we'd be bottom 2 or 3 at the moment. But you just have the belief. We have the belief now that you can turn things around, and we have done so far. So
I think for Suffolk football, that's the big thing, because there's another team in the locker that have turned a corner and are not going to be struggling. Because if everyone looked at where they were at the end of last season and thought that was going to carry on, it might have been a battle to stay in the league this year. And it doesn't look like it's going to go that way at all. And I think some of the stuff that we've commented on before between all of us is the fact that you've been nicking the winners late on and stuff. you've had the full 90 minutes in the tank to make sure that you keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
If you
We had a good pre-season. We had a good pre-season, which obviously sets you in good stead.
Yep.
I say it's difficult because you can look at it and go on like talking about last season. You know, I come and watched a friendly against Woodbridge, and I was quite surprised because I've always known Felixstowe to be quite a tough side to play against, especially in the local area. I'm going back years when I used to play against Felixstowe reserves. They were a very tough side to play against, so tough, and it went through to the first team, and that's the reason why you got to the level that you've got at. And it was a shame last season that it wasn't quite there. But it's good to see that you are picking up the results that you want to pick up. That's the only reason why I've gone as to say with B is just because you've not had too many games. I think a few more games in, you'll start seeing that you'll start creeping up that league.
Would you say that's a fair reflection, Stuart?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were supposed to play Cambridge the night before lockdown at their place, and if we'd have won that game, we'd have gone up to third or something. I think so. It could, obviously how tight it is at the moment. Yeah.
Any goals for the rest of the season from yourself, Stuart?
Yeah, I think at the start of pre-season we got together and we felt we need to consolidate after last year, the struggles that we had last year, first and foremost. But I think between us all, we can probably push top 8. We might even be a sneak playoffs if we keep performing the way we're performing. We're playing really well. We're playing good football at the moment, and no one likes coming down and playing us at the Gold Star ground anymore. Which maybe last year people enjoyed it. It was quite a nice place to play, but it's not that easy to come down there anymore.
It's good getting that when you get teams that are like, oh, we've got to travel down there.
Yeah,
we've got to go and play these now. And especially in that level, because the distance can be quite far, and you're like, oh, and it's a lovely ground. You've got lovely facilities down there because you've improved so much over the last 4 or 5 years.
I was going to say, lovely, bloody amazing.
Yeah,
amazing down there. It's incredible.
It's a lot of people will remember when you come down, you used to have to walk through the field and then through sometimes. So yeah, amazing facilities down there, and you've got great community spirit down there as well. It's really nice to see a local club pushing on.
Definitely.
Hopefully, this is one of the B's that we can get to an A quite comfortably as the season goes on, based on what's happened. I think this will be one of the big movers.
Well, when we have lockdown 3.0 in February, and we're coming to do this again, we'll be giving you guys an A. All right.
Sounds good, mate. I look forward to it.
Really appreciate your time. We'd love to have you back on the show in a bit more in depth than what we're able to do tonight. But we really appreciate you coming on and representing Felixstowe this evening. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks so much, mate. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Cheers. Thank you.
And there we go. 2 leagues done and dusted already. It's are we happy with our ratings so far? Do we feel comfortable?
100%.
Are people happy with my rating so far? Because I kind of been put on the spot. I haven't got a light on. I'm glowing.
We'll see. We'll see if you're going to be put on the spot in a bit. I can't remember the ordering of the leagues and how we're going to be doing this one, but we are now moving into what is. This is where the show really starts to ramp up. We're now going into the Thurlow Nunn Premier. So here is the current league table as things stand. So I'm going to kick things off with Wroxham. And this one, we had a bit of a debate about this, didn't we, last night? When we were talking about the show, we were discussing how we would go about doing our gradings and what would justify the ratings that we're going to be giving certain clubs. And I said Wroxham is a definite A. There's absolutely no question about it. It's an A from me. But Adam, you didn't agree with that, did you?
I think for them it's difficult until they play some of the other teams that are expected to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season for them to prove their A. They couldn't have started any better than they have. So let's not take that away from them.
But a lot of call-offs as well, though.
No matter how much you're trying to take it away.
Yeah, they have had a tough start in terms of where things are. And like, there's some games that they would have loved to have played. Like they had a game against Galston called off, like a local derby, and that. Like, so yeah, bit frustrating. Like, and I said, like, I think the way they finished last season, this is exactly where they would have wanted to be.
Yeah, definitely.
This is as strong as they finished.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me, as I said, 9 wins out of 9. They can't do much more than play what's in front of them. It's been it has been the perfect start. So I can't really think, I don't really think anybody can begrudge me giving them an A. Adam, Norwich United, one of the teams that we were worried about at the start of the season about how they might get on. What's your rating for them?
If I could give a club a rating above A, it would be Norwich United, because I thought they were going to absolutely nosedive. There's just so much change happened, and they lost experience. They lost players to higher levels. They lost very, very good players, but hasn't even touched them. Plus 14 goal difference. They're right up there. Good team spirit. Seems like the club's ticking along nicely in the background as well. Really a more solid A than I would give Wroxham if it was on that
Definitely.
benchmark.
Alex, what do you reckon for Brampton?
I'm going to go B. The reason why I'm going to go... No, I don't think... Not...
No. You stick with you stick with your original thought, mate. You stick with your original thought.
It's the same. I'm looking back on some results and stuff like that. The Woodbridge 1-1 probably should have done a bit better on that one. I know the 1-1 that had Ely obviously are up there and abouts. The Thetford 1-0 with the way Thetford have been playing. Yes, they've been getting the results as in the 3 points, but probably maybe should be doing a little bit better.
I know what you're saying. They've snuck results rather than convincingly.
Yeah, and
I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. You're saying that a team that's unbeaten, who's sitting in 3rd place with a game in hand, is not an A.
I see what he's saying, but I could never give Brampton any more than an A being there, because I wouldn't expect them to be there.
As I say, it's purely just going on looking at the teams that they've played. When we're saying the same about Wroxham. We're turning around and saying that, if they come up against a side that is a bit better quality, are they going to struggle? And then it's kind of the same thing. If they come up against a side a little bit better quality, like a Wroxham, like a Norwich United, which I don't think they've played, I'm just double checking. Are they going to struggle? Well, they played Felixstowe and in the cup and lost 6-2. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've pulled the results out, and that's brilliant. That's the reason we're giving them a B. But I would expect them probably to do a little bit more on some of the sides that they've just scraped results out of.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I will. I'll give you that one. Just let everybody know who is joining the show a little bit later on, because Bucks has asked a question on here. I want to just clarify. All of the clubs that we're talking about tonight is either an A, which is the top marker, which are teams who are performing above expectations or who have done amazingly well to start the season. B is they're doing all right, but they could do a bit better. And C is not performing up to expectations or have had a really, really poor start. So that's the ratings we're going on. So it's A, B, and C for tonight. So if you hear that in the chat, if you see that in the chat and it pops up on the screen, or if you hear us talking about certain grades, that's what we're referring to. Because we were going to go through an A to F side of things, but Adam wanted to chuck a few U's onto some clubs, and I wasn't having that. So we were only going from A to C. We're only going from A to C. So I'm gonna move on to Ely City. I don't think there's any conversation to be had on here. It's an A. Massive improvement from last season. Only lost 1 game. They're making themselves hard to beat. Incredibly tight at the back. They're playing effective football and they're getting points. And to see them in 4th place, I don't think any of us. Well, I don't know. I could be proved wrong on this one, but I don't think many people would have said after this amount of games that Ely would be in 4th place. So for me, it's an A. I'm just, I think we'll move on from that. Adam, Kirkley and Pakefield.
It's a league of a lot of interesting starts that have happened to it. And Kirkley, for me, despite a few losses, sit at an A. At one point, the way they were unbeaten to start the season off, I thought they were going to get more points in about 5 games than they used to get in a whole season. Kirkley and Pakefield have done bits, and they've done enough to really sort of make people a bit worried about playing them, I think, at the moment, and that they've got enough wins in the bag against enough varied teams to make people sort of have to think a bit.
Yeah. Alex, Walsham and the Willows, what's your rating on them?
I'm gonna go B again with them.
Jesus, really?
They had a good win their last game, which was the FA Vars 5-1.
Yeah.
Somebody's microphone.
Yeah.
I think it's Adams based on that.
They see. I think they should be a little bit higher. I think, as in, I think they should be doing a bit more. I think they should be the 3 losses.
Yeah, fair enough. I think for me, I think it's an A. I'm just going to throw it out there.
I think they're doing good. As I say, they've done well in the cup. As I say, they did have good. So I'm just going by the results that I'm seeing, obviously in the league position and stuff like that. I think they should be an A. I think they should be higher. They should be up there a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
if we go on the should be, then that's a B. If they're there, then I would say an A.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, my club, Stanway Rovers. Then, this is a tough one. I reckon I'm gonna play it safe, and I'm gonna go for a B because 4 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses is not poor form. It's not bad. It's not good form. It is what it is. And I think once other teams start catching up with him in terms of fixtures played, you will see that is very much run-of-the-mill mid-table form. So for me, I can't see how I can't give them an A. But again, they haven't had a bad start. So yeah, I think that's a B, and we'll move on from that. Adam, Hadley.
This is almost like meant to be after like one of the early season ones we did. I said if they don't get relegated, I'd eat my hat. So it's an A for Hadley all day long. They're just they're doing things that no one expected them to do.
Yeah, I still can't figure out the way that they're playing. I still can't figure out their formation. But I suppose that's what is quite interesting about them is that when teams are going there, they don't know what to expect from Hadley.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And they've been able to pick up some good results on the way. So I think I'd probably have to agree with that. Although Sean on the screen here is not agreeing. He's giving them a B.
I love this. This is opinions. This is what we want to do with
100%. That's why
I might be a little bit harsh on some of mine, and people might sit there and go, "Well, I'd give them that. It's a bit harsh," but I may change my mind after when they play a couple more games and go, "Oh no, they should be there."
Like I said, lockdown 3.0, mate. We'll come back to these and we'll see how things are going on. We'll see.
The thing is, what we often forget is this whole show is football through our lens and what we see.
Yeah.
So getting people involved and sort of thinking, just giving a basic scale of how you think teams have done, it allows us all to get a feel for how we think people are doing and where they should be.
Yeah. Definitely. Alex, Mildenhall.
See, this is going to be one they probably turn around. I might get a thing. I'm actually going to give Mildenhall an A.
Adam, your immediate reaction to that?
I think they will do well this season. I think they've been undone by the amount of games they've been able to play. Add 6 points onto what they've got now, they're in a different position. They've only lost 1 game, haven't they? I think Mildenhall.
They have. There's the league table. 4 wins, 3 draws, and 1 loss from their 8 games.
If it's an A, it's an A minus. If it's a B, it's a B plus.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the only game that they've lost is against Norwich United. They drew 2-2 with Stowmarket, which it's always difficult playing Stowe. So I think that's a good result. And they're scoring goals.
Yeah.
These are, if you look at their results, some of their results they're not low scoring games.
No.
They're going out and they're punishing sides.
Yeah.
Which this is where I go back to my Bramford one, you would expect them to punish that side. Do you know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And we are going to bring on our first guest of the Thurlow Nunn, because we are now up to the point where I've got the delight of being able to talk about Stowe Market, and I can now bring on our guest for Stowe Down, Mr. Paul Musgrove. Paul, how you doing, mate? You well?
Very good, chaps. How are you?
Very good,
Evening,
mate.
Paul.
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How have things been going from a Stowe perspective? Obviously, they are one of the clubs in our part of the world that people look to. They're one of the first results that people check to see how they're doing, with the eyes of Suffolk firmly on you on most weeks. How do you think the start of the season has been?
Yeah, we're probably, in most people's eyes, we probably haven't got going yet. With the stop and starting with the COVID, it's been a little bit difficult. And obviously we've had a little bit of a switch round in personnel, so we haven't got into our stride as yet.
Right. Okay. Adam?
Yeah, for me, it's been an odd one, like coming out of the season where we were last year as a club. Like, I think everyone just expected us just to carry on this year. Do you think the league is a different playing field than where we were at last year?
Well, I think I said it in the summer. I think a lot of people, if they go away in the summer and you haven't put right a few wrongs and sort of suss things out a little bit, you're not doing your job as a manager or as a club.
Yeah.
So I believe that people have maybe changed styles. They've got new managers or a fresh impetus of different ideas, and we do come up against people that are either going to have a proper go at us because they think, well, we've got nothing to lose, or teams that want to sit in for as long as they can, and we've got to try and break them down. So it's our job to try and suss out which way that's going to go on the day, and try and get behind people and get a result, which is difficult.
Sorry, go on, Alex.
Do you think as well the expectations on the players, obviously because of last season and how well the side was doing, has it put any pressure on them or anything like that, or have they tried to change their style of playing to obviously keep up with what's going on?
No, we've tried to sort of reinvent a few different ideas, just obviously because people can read how we are sometimes. It's we like to spring things on people as well. In terms of the players, do I think they feel the pressure? No, I just think the stopping and starting and the long layoff time is quite unsettling for people, really. And that's the same for everybody, but you just can't get that momentum and that team spirit going as much as you can do over, when you're doing Zoom sessions and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my question. How frustrating has it been that you've not only had the cup games to contend with, but the amount of postponements you guys have had so far this season? You are probably you're right up there in terms of, I wouldn't say you're at the barroom level of postponements, because nobody's at that level, but you're at that kind of level of the amount of games you haven't been able to play. I mean, you must be so frustrated that you haven't really been able to get the season going at all.
My missus is quite happy. On my own, but no, it is, because there's only so much preparing you can do, and then when it comes to a grinding halt, it's sort of you have to replan and reshuffle the pack a little bit. So yeah, really frustrating, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Difficult question to ask, I suppose, and the big one: the summer signings that came in haven't really, all but one, haven't really worked out too well in terms of what's got going. There's been injuries left, right, and centre, and a couple of them have moved on. Do you think that's disrupted the settling of the team as well?
I suppose it could be construed as that way. It's just, like I say, sometimes things don't work out for one reason or another, and is it a case that they haven't fitted in? No, not at all. It's just, like I say, sometimes when it doesn't quite feel right for you as a club or them as a player, it's best to part on the best terms and try and move on. And yes, like I say, there's a little bit of a turnaround in players, but like I say, we've just got to keep turning things around and making sure that we get the recruitment right.
I think that's important to hear, because people often turn around and say, "Oh, players are moving on at Stowe, things can't be right there," or whatever. But it's important to hear the other side of that as to why it happens.
Yeah.
And
well, no, probably a lot of people who are on the show, or they're never going to talk about that side of it. At the end of the day, like I said, as long as things are done in the right way and people move on, and then there's no hard feelings, that's what happens in football.
Yeah.
Lau asks, "Are you missing me yet?"
If he bought a drink, I'd miss him, but yeah, that don't happen. So no, not at the moment.
One final question from me, and this might sound a bit of a stupid question considering how much everyone in the game wants to be able to, we want to be able to play as much action as we possibly can. We want our games coming thick and fast. We want the Saturday, Tuesday side of things. But from your perspective as a club, and how things have gone at the start of the season, are the 4 weeks that potentially are going to be stopping, do you think that might be quite useful to be able to sit there and reflect on how things have gone and try and put some sort of plan of action into place? Or are you just one of those people that just wants to get on with things? Let's get on the training pitch, let's get on the pitch and really try and sort things out.
Yeah, I like the contact time with the players, to be fair, and you can't beat that on the training pitch. Having said that, so we are using the time wisely, because we use VO to video our games. Sorry, Adam, and yeah, and sorry, but no. So we're using that time. So now we're using that time really just to look at where the games where we have faulted a little bit, and where we've come under bits of pressure and where we could improve. So I'd like to get going as soon as possible, and the contact time with the players on the training pitch is invaluable.
Definitely. And one final question before we let you go. What's your rating for Stowe? What would you give yourself so far? Come on.
I'd honestly I'd give it a B.
Fair play. I will also give you guys a B, because it's not for the want of trying. It's just the fact that the season has just been so stop-start. It's just been very, very difficult to build up any sort of momentum. Paul, we really appreciate you coming on the show, mate. Massive thank you for that, and representing Stowmarket. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, chaps. Take care. Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Right, let's bring up the league table then as we work our way through the rest of the division. Adam, you have the wonderful task of talking about Galston.
What is there not to say about Galston? Money spent for what was diminishing returns at the start of the season. Just about started to pick it up, made the right moves. It's a B from me. So different to last season, but I can't go as far as saying an A when they've lost 5 games and we're really struggling to start with to really put anything together.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, before we move on to Clacton, I actually have somebody who we've already talked about from a club from the Thurlow Nunn just appear in the chat. So I'm going to bring him onto the screen to talk about it. We have the manager for Bramford Athletic, Michael Brothers, with us. Mike, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Unbeaten start so far for the season. How do you reflect on your opening 9 games from a league perspective, anyway?
Yeah, from a league perspective, obviously being unbeaten's a great feeling for myself and for the club in general. As I can see on the table itself, obviously Wroxham deserve a lot of credit for being unbeaten but winning every game. So that's something we can all aspire to, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Alex, you were the person giving Bramford the grade earlier on. What were just remind us your kind of thoughts about why you gave? I think it was a B, wasn't it? You gave you gave to Brentford. What just kind of talk us through that.
It's obviously I haven't to see Brentford personally myself. I'm just obviously looking at the league and the results. And for me, I think some of them, I don't know, you may disagree, obviously, because I haven't been at the games. Some of them I thought that you might be able to have punished sides a little bit more, if you know what I mean. It's, as I say, it's difficult because I have to go by just what I see with the league and the results and stuff like that. And just some of the teams, like with the Thetford struggling and stuff like that, and being where the position he was at, I thought it might have been a good chance to, punish him a little bit more, not horribly, but do you know what I mean? You've got to be, I believe you've got to be crucial, especially at that end of the league and how tight it can be. Banging in 3-4 goals against the side may actually help you more at the end of the season than you actually think.
Yeah, Mike,
you know
what
I mean?
What do you sort of say to that? Oh, I think we may have lost Mike. Bear with me 2 seconds. Mike, are you back in now?
Yeah, I'm back in. I'm not what happened there. Might just be my I'm not sure.
I don't know how much of that you heard from Alex, but he was sort of saying on there about maybe the need for punishing teams a bit more is probably a reason why he didn't give you an A as opposed to a B. How do you kind of how do you kind of reflect on that?
I do tend to agree a little bit. We need to be a team that will be in control of the game, go ahead. We have done a lot this season, and then sort of last 20 minutes we make it into a bit of a battle. So it is correct in saying that a good handful of our games we should be not out of sight but more in control. Mentioning the Thetford game there, Thetford deserved something from the game. We were very, very under par that day and very lucky, and that obviously happens when you're at the top end. We're very lucky to come away with 3 points.
Yeah, definitely. Adam.
Yeah, I've seen Brentford play. I've watched them play against Whitton, and that was a weird game, full stop. And like, it was a tricky one because I came away from it sort of thinking that in the final third, you had so much possession. Like, it looked like it's just sort of waiting to unlock teams to get those goals. I think it'll be interesting to see how your season goes on and keep building on the momentum that you've got being unbeaten. Because I suppose in the dressing room, that must feel pretty special at the moment.
Yeah, it's as I mentioned, it is a really good feeling. With regards to, again, to be fair, manager, maybe you should be a bit high because that's the one thing we spoke about is having possession in the final third and being able to unlock a defence and just creating more clear half change. Again, that was a very strange game. I felt we had a lot of possession. And again, repeating what was said, it's just about creating them chances to make the game a bit more comfortable, I think.
So now you've had these opening 9 games of the season. Obviously, as I said, you are unbeaten. What are your kind of thoughts moving on into the next part of the season? Once we get through lockdown and once everything's all, we get back to some sort of normality. What are your kind of aims now pushing forward for the rest of the season?
Do you know what? Our aims at the start of the year was always to do better last season. Obviously, I know last season ended abruptly as well. But it is going to be just progression. We've got to work on in terms of exactly what we spoke about and punishing teams. We won't get the luck we've had so far. So we just got to keep progressing and building on what we've done, and hopefully be there or thereabouts at the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Mike, we really appreciate you coming on.
Understand, but I found something else. Do you want to know my comma after hopefully?
Is that yours, Adam?
Wi-Fi.
Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable.
Sorry,
But,
I didn't understand.
Sorry, Mike, I really appreciate you coming on the show, mate. Massively appreciate it. Cheers for coming on. Adam, where were we in terms of you had just gone to Galston? So, Alex, Clacton, talk to us about Clacton.
Alex,
I think he's gone as well. Oh, this is not good. Let's get Adam, talk to me about Clacton very quickly before we move on.
Horrific start to the season for them in terms of COVID.
Yeah,
it's almost ungradable just because they've had to go so long without playing. But
yeah,
for a team that really didn't want to be in this division this season because they want to make moves to the SIL Senior, it's a B.
Yeah, Alex, I hope your signal's now working, mate. Are you back in the room?
Yes, mate, I'm back in.
Good man. I've let Adam have Clacton on your behalf, so I'll hand you Newmarket. How do you think they've been doing?
Not great, really. To be honest, you'd expect them to do a little bit more. I think we spoke about it last show, and we spoke about obviously that they were always a side that was very good at home and picking up points at home. But have not been doing it this season. 3 wins is for that side. As I say, you would expect more.
Yeah. So what rating are you gonna give them?
I'm gonna say C, but a C plus. The reason why I'm going to say a C plus is because they're not terrible as in right down the bottom, but they're not doing great.
You would expect them to be a lot higher.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna be the one grading Swaffham. I am gonna give them. I think this is tough because if we were going from A to F, I would probably have to give them maybe a C minus, D plus, something like that, because I think they obviously went through a lot of transitional stuff off the pitch last season. They lost, I believe, they're one of their top strikers before the season even kicked off as well. And when you kind of put those things into the mix, it has been a very tough start to them. Tough start for them. I think maybe giving them a B is a bit, maybe giving them too much credit. I don't know, but
yeah,
I think Adam, you're kind of shaking your head on that one.
I think both Newmarket and Swaffham will feel they should have done so much more. What you've got to remember in here, and you haven't mentioned, is Swaffham have played 13 games.
Yeah. No, that's a fair shout. It's a fair shout. As we move on to Witton, I'm delighted to be able to say that we've got another guest coming on representing Witton United, Shane Cauldron. Shane, how you doing, mate? You well?
Very well, thank you, gentlemen.
Good man. Adam, this is going to be your grading on this one. So be careful what you say in front of Shane. But Shane, how do you kind of reflect on the opening parts of the season? 3 wins and 5 losses on there. What's your kind of thoughts?
Could do better. Some big high scoring games which don't always reflect the nature of the performances. Probably didn't take chances in some of those games. Got punished the other end. Maybe a little bit of tactical naivety from myself at times. However, when it goes well, it goes well, and we start the season well. We've had a blip in between, it comes good in the end. But I think that's the nature of this division, and all the managers that come on, or we look for all those teams that you've mentioned. There's going to be so many twists and turns. There's so many teams can beat each other, whether it's Thetford could upset Norwich United from one end of the table to the other. And I think all managers agree there's no easy games in this league. The division's got a lot better in terms of quality player, and each week when you look at the league table, you just don't know what you're going to expect, and being a manager involved in that's probably a fair reflection, really.
Yeah, I think for me, it's been a difficult time. Obviously, a few players have come in. There's been the sort of unsettling bit with the goalkeeper, with injuries and COVID and everything else has meant that you've had to go through a couple of different goalkeepers, and it's such an important position in the pitch. to get some stability. I felt like when I saw you play, despite the 4-1 defeat to Brantford, when I saw you play there, I felt like you turned the corner a bit in the way you're playing. Do you think that was a bit of a turning point in particular?
I can't really put a finger on it. It was probably the best squad I've put together at Whitton since. And the quality of players there is fantastic. But you don't win games on paper, so it's really been a turning point. We've played really well in games, and then when we've gone behind, we've sort of capitulated ourselves and let ourselves down. But I have no doubt when we're on form and when we play well, we proved that in our last performance, and we can upset teams. We just got to hit some consistency now, and that's the key for us.
Yeah, I've seen Whitton more this season than any other team, and I totally agree with that. Like when you're going forward and it's right, it looks incredible. Like the attacking performance is so good, and then there's other times like that I've seen as well where it's just defensively it's just started to fray. Like after a couple go in and it becomes a little bit more fragmented. So I think with a bit of work in terms of pushing that on through the season and turning that corner, I've got no doubts it's going to turn around. It's just I think you've just had a really sticky start and bedding it all in. And what I honestly think is Whitton's strongest set of players, trying to pull all of them together to make that a squad as such.
Yeah, you touched on it there. We played 4 goalkeepers this season, and we were 8 games in. And I'm sure there's not many other clubs out there have gone through 4 goalkeepers. We obviously had the horrific injury to a young lad in the FA Cup. Yeah. Jack, our keeper's injured. We've put young keepers in. I'm not making excuses, but we've got a great selection of defenders and forwards. And our midfielders this year, experienced midfielders like Tom Bradley or Kevin Ingles, they've suffered with injuries. Liam Wales has got suspended twice. They're 3 instrumental key players in the midfield. And without them in the side to feed the forwards, it's always going to be tough. But I have no doubt that with the squad we got there, where we're sitting in the league now, we'd start catching games up, leveling it out. We will go upset teams. The disappointing performance against Stowmarket, while the score was good and they've lapped it up more and more, and Lau can keep promoting it every week on Twitter. But joking aside, that probably done us a turn really, because that really cut deep. That upset us. We weren't at our strongest that day. They were on form. But what it enables you to do when you lose games is you can assess your players and collectively come together. And and I think I feel a bit sorry for Woodbridge really, because they had a good run, but they caught us on a night when we were really ready to turn the corner. And anyone who was at the game could see they're the sort of games we can play. And we probably had a similar performance at Brentford when we were defensively tight, and then the game falls away, you lose 4-1, and all of a sudden everyone says, it's another big thrashing for Whitton. And that's disappointing as a manager when people reflect that and don't see the true outlook of the game. But, that's how football is. And sometimes you get a little rub of the drawing, sometimes you don't. But no doubt that Whitton, you asked brothers exactly the same. My goal each year is to improve, and every season I've been at Whitton, it's my 4th season now. I've improved on my previous position, and the time I stop doing that, then when it's time to knock it on the head, Yeah.
It's been, I think, in summary, disappointing start, but I think it's there to turn the corner.
I think
without a shadow.
The Woodbridge game showed that. As I say, I watched the highlights of that, and I touched on it before and turned around and said, when you watch a highlight reel from another club that's put it out, and it's more of the club they're playing against, it was a very good game from Whitton, and some of the goals in there as well. The finishing was quality. But it is you with Whitton. It is a big club. I still class it as a big club, and you have that a lot of expectation as well at Whitton. And people do look at the results and turn around and go, they're struggling. It just takes time sometimes for players to click, especially if you have a lot of injuries and you've got to bring new players in to cover those positions. They've then got to click as well. Yeah. And when you've got 4 or 5 out, it can be difficult. But that's good. That's experience for them. Those players that have come in, it's experience for them. They know when they come in next time, they've got that experience, and hopefully we'll click a little bit quicker.
Yeah. I think you've summed it up there. Whitton's got loads of history especially in the SIL going through in a local club Whitton is steeped in history. The downside to it, we're very unfashionable in the Suffolk area in terms of there are bigger clubs in terms of better with social media presence, and you maybe look at teams maybe like Woodbridge or Hadley or Brantham. Woodbridge is a little bit more, so we're probably a little bit behind a lot of our local competitors in terms of presence or fashionable ways of putting ourselves about. And Whitton are we're an SIL club. We're in that we were an SIL club. We've sustained ourselves in the Thurlow Nunn for the last 10, 15 years. But I think my goal is to make sure we sustain as a Premier club now and allow them to maybe get some infrastructure, better infrastructure in place and grow going forward. That's probably my goal. The legacy I'd like to do is keep the team in the right place, make sure the foundations are there for going forward. But we're a bit behind our competitors. But on the pitch, there's no doubt, and I've got the squad to match those of us.
Yeah, definitely. I hope things start improving for you guys after the lockdown, and we can start getting some consistency and run a fixtures good together for you there, Shane. Really appreciate you coming on, mate, to the show. Good to get your insight as always. Cheers, mate.
Thanks for your time, Shane.
Thank you.
No worries at all. No worries. Right, let's go back to the league table then. God Manchester, I think, Adam, I think it's fair to say this is it's a C rating, yeah? I'm afraid so. After what happened last season, to then look at how things are going this season, they are a lot of games ahead of everybody as well. So it is, it hasn't been a great start to the season from God Manchester Rovers. And we've got our next guest coming on from Woodbridge Town. I'm delighted to be able to say that we have got Leon Moore coming into the stream. Leon, how you doing, mate? You well?
Hello there. Hope you're all well.
Yeah. How have things been going for you? Obviously, recently taken over at Woodbridge. You're part of the management setup there. How have things been going so far this season?
Well, it's been a bit stop-start for us. We've had games called off because of COVID. We haven't, we've had a tough start as well. I mean, you've just got to look at the league table, who we've played already: Norwich United, Brantham, Kirkley twice, Mildenhall, Stowmarket. We faced all of them already. And until the Whitton game the other night, we'd only lost by an odd goal every single game. Thought we'd turned a corner when we went to Brantham, got a 1-1, and I'll be honest with you, I think we're unlucky not to win that. 89th minute penalty saved. Then we played Kirkley at home, win 2-0. I mean, you've said that you thought Kirkley were one of the better performing teams in the league. Then we go to the Swaffham Ski Centre. We get another 3 points there. And unfortunately, we then have Whitton at home on a Wednesday night. It's all a bit of an anticlimax, really. It's a very, very funny. It's a bit of a strange dressing room to be in when it's your last game, but it's not the end of the season.
Right.
And to be honest with you, Whitton thoroughly deserved the result. I think there was only about 6 shots in the game. They scored 4, we scored 1, and I think one of them went wide. So that just sums up the game, really. But fair play to Whitton, they deserve the result. And, that's the first time we've been soundly beat all season. Even when you go back to the Norwich United game, we played with 10 men for an hour, and we only lost 2-1.
Yeah. So from your perspective, obviously you've come in at the beginning of the season when there was a lot of stuff going on and off the pitch at the club, and obviously the main headline is the manager leaving, etc. So for you coming in, so for you guys coming in and trying to stabilize everything, are you glad you've kind of got the big names out of the way, so to speak, or do you think maybe that's because looking at the league table, people will look from the outside and go, well, they've not had a great start, things are not going particularly well. But as you said, it's if people actually look into it in a bit more depth, it's been a very tough start, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's people out there that say, Woodbridge should be doing better, they should be doing better, they're underachieving. There's even like a comment the other week regarding the game against Thetford, I think, that was made on here, and how we looked at that game and know that we needed to turn a corner. You know, the results haven't gone our way all season, and you know, it has only been by the odd goal here or there. I mean, as a club, Woodbridge as a club, they've had the most disruptive pre-season possible. You know, they started pre-season with one manager, then had another one, and then by the first game in the FA Cup, the first game, you know, we were the third managers in charge. You know, you've had Ryan Keeble and Callum Sinclair that have played a total of 70 minutes of football all season through injuries. You've had Ben Garnham out for six-game ban, coupled with 4 players that have left the club, and you've brought in sort of like 4 players as well, or 4 or 5 players as well. You know, I believe Nick Ingram's come from the league above, but you've got sort of like Andrew Crowe, Kyron Andrews, and Luke Taylor that have all stepped up from step 6. So it's all going to take a bit of time over there, and you know, it's just a case of just being a bit patient with it and being prepared to work with what we've got. You know, the club has maintained what they want, and that is step 5 status. So, you know, we know we're not going to win no league titles this year. We're not going to get Champions League qualification in that league. So, you know, we just, at the end of the day, all we've got to do is just do our best and try and finish mid-table, really.
I was going to say, is that your aim moving forward for the rest of this season? Is just to kind of stabilise things and just kind of get everyone back to a level point and then really kick on next season?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I spoke quite in depth with the club about this, and the chairman, the vice chairman, they're all under the understanding that this is a rebuild. You've gone and lost, you know, you've lost Carlos Edwards, Kelsey Trotter, Ellis Morrell, you know, you take Jake Rudge, you take those 4 players out of that team, and then you've lost, say, Ben Garner for 6 games, and Ryan Keeble and Callum Sinclair. All of a sudden, that's sort of like 7 players that were starting last season.
They're good players as well. That's the thing.
What's that? Sorry.
They're strong players at that level.
Yeah. You know, like Carlos Edwards has stepped up. I mean, the bloke's a Rolls Royce, isn't he, on a football pitch? You know, you've got Kelsey Trotter, who's now at Bennell. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, he'll be playing with a cigar on. You know, he's a great player as well. And you just got to go through the rest of them as well. No matter what level they're all playing, you know that they're good players, and you know what you're going to get out of them. So it's just a case of now just working with the group we have got. I'm not going to go out. You know, me and Snelly aren't going to go out and sign loads of players. We're pretty happy with the group we've got. Is there a couple of tweaks that are needed? Yes, possibly. But that's to try and find a bit of balance within the side. So you know, I see someone's just commented on the game against Stowe. I mean, I don't know if any of you watched that, but I'll tell you what, the second half, I thought we were phenomenal against Stowmarket. And I think we're unlucky not to come away with something from that as well.
So I'll be honest. That's I don't think I've watched that one, but I've been watching the last couple of weeks. I've been watching the highlights that have been put out, and very good at going forward. Very good at going forward, and as you turned around and said, there may be just a couple of tweaks that needed to happen. As I say, when you played Thetford, as I say, going forward, you're brilliant. It was just a shame that you couldn't got a couple of more goals out of it, to be honest.
Yeah. But I think if we'd have played Thetford, I know this sounds daft, but if we'd have played Thetford when we played Whitton, I think that would be a completely different story because we've got a bit of momentum. But sometimes it's just how the fixtures fall, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, Leon, really appreciate you coming on the show, mate. I would love to sit and chat with you. Got for hours, but unfortunately we're a bit short on time restraints. But really appreciate you coming on and representing Woodbridge, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks ever so much for having me. Stay healthy, a lot of you.
Cheers, buddy.
You too, mate. You too. Let's rattle our way through the rest of this league because we've got a lot of divisions still to cover, and we're an hour and 15 minutes in. It's absolutely flown by. I'm going to start off. I'm going to start the bottom 3 going. Long Melford. I probably expected a little bit more from them this season, so I'm going to give them a C. I don't really think that's a that's a harsh comment to make
No,
on
I
that
agree.
part. Adam, Haverhill Rovers.
They've been hit for 4 more often than a cricket ball. C.
Yeah.
Alex, Thetford.
C. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's just one of those ones. I think we were kind of hoping a little bit. Obviously, the Woodbridge game, getting a win there, and that might kick their season a little bit. But
yeah,
no, unfortunately, yeah. So C.
Thurlow Nunn North now. We are going to make our way through this relatively quickly because I want to get into the SIL part of it because I know a lot of people are waiting around for that. We do have one person to bring on from the Thurlow Nunn North, so we'll spend the majority of our time talking about that particular club. I'm going to start things off with Fakenham Town. It's an A, no question about it. Unbeaten, 10 games. They've won 9 of them. They're top of the table, plus 26 goal difference. It's been a brilliant, absolutely brilliant start. It's an A from me. Adam, March, Town United.
Again, A, like they're keeping the pressure up there. They'll know what other teams in that league want to achieve, and they're making sure that it's not easy for them.
Definitely. Alex, Ipswich Wanderers, you're one of your favourites of the team. You're backing to do well. Is it anything other than an A?
No, it's I think, as I've turned around and said, with what the club's done over the last few seasons, how they've built themselves up and got to where they are at the moment. The signings that have made, I've got to go with an A on that, and the amount of goals that they've scored as well. It's just phenomenal. So yeah, A for me.
Yeah. Leiston Reserves, I'm giving them an A. I think we've talked about it previously on the shows. Yeah. The reserve teams in this league have often been, right, this is an easy chance to pick up 3 points this season. A lot of these guys have proved this year that ain't going to happen. They've been absolutely brilliant, and we saw them on Tuesday night before the season wrapped up. A very impressive side, good on the ball, good attacking play, very very quick with it. Move around quite nicely. So as I said, I'm giving them an A. Adam, Mulbarton Wanderers, what are you giving them?
Odd one, because I didn't know anything about them before this season, but having gone to see them, I think they'd be comfortable in the Prem.
Yeah,
I really do, and I think again they're another team putting the pressure on. So an A from me.
Yeah. Alex, Lakenheath.
I'm going to go B. I know, controversial again. Just purely going on with the obviously the 2 losses. I know that they're a couple of games behind, but if you're looking at putting them on the A side, they should be up there. I say looking for 3rd and 4th, really.
Yeah.
If you want to call them an A side, so I'm going with B because they're with the amount they've played, they're there where they kind of need to be at the moment.
Yeah, fair
they're
enough.
Not over.
Yeah, and that's a good call. Downham, I'm going to give a B. I think after 10 games, I maybe expected them to be slightly higher, or maybe not to have lost so many games. I know that might be a bit harsh. Maybe some people might see that as a bit harsh, but I'm giving them a B. I don't think they've had a bad start, but again, it's not. I kind of expected them to have more points on the board by this point of the season. Adam, Dis Town.
C for me from Dis. They've gone from a team 2 years ago that were looking to push up to a team that have had some woeful results, quite frankly, and just languishing. And they've got such a good football catchment area. It's just the club doesn't seem to be pushing forward.
Yeah. Alex, Framlingham.
So it's difficult because I can go by, obviously, they've got a really good setup over there.
They're trying to do things the right way, aren't they?
Yeah. Are they where they should be? I'm going to go B minus.
B minus.
B minus. Wow. It's just because I know they've had players there and they've had quite a lot of young players there that probably could have pushed through and improved the first team a little bit more.
So we're not laughing at you. We're laughing at you.
I know, just saying that.
Unbelievable.
You know, I think they probably could do better. It's one of those ones where you put B minus, could do better.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I think it's one of those ones.
definitely. For me, who's my next team? I've got Great Yarmouth. It's a C. It's a C from me. I know that might be harsh, but I think they are one of those teams that they're one of those I expect a lot more from them, but from what I've seen, 6 defeats so far. I'd have to go into a bit more depth to have a look at who the 6 defeats have been against and properly look at things, but how things have started, it's not been great. Adam Sheringham.
They've recovered to a B in my mind. I think they should be looking at mid-table, but their start to the season was really, really worrying. Sorted out the last couple of weeks, but I'll be keeping a close eye on them when things get back underway.
Yeah. Alex, Kings Lynn reserves?
I don't know if you two are going to agree with me, but your next 3 I think are probably going to be the same. I'm going to go with A with them just because they're not, the reserve teams are not whipping boys anymore. You know, they're going out and they're showing that they can play football, and
absolutely,
they want to be playing for the first teams, and that's how they're going to do it, by playing football, playing sides like this, and doing well against them.
I totally agree with that, and I think they've changed that mantra from the fact that the reserve teams are just in there to make up the numbers. They're not anymore.
No.
Yeah, I think in that case, then should we say from myself, AFC Sudbury is an A, and Adam, you're going to give Needham a B as well, or an A rather?
I thought you could try to stitch me up. Yeah, 100%. I'm more than happy to do that with the reserve teams in terms of what they're doing, because they're changing the context of the league and in terms of what we previously expected.
The other night when we went and watched, like, we'll use Leiston as an example. When we went and watched Needham and Leiston, the intensity and the some of the football that was being played, I've played against senior sides or managed against senior sides or whatever that haven't probably got that type of footballing brain, and that's no disrespect to them. But if you're getting it in now with these younger, youthful reserve sides, it's going to be great for your club pushing through later on.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, Norwich CBS.
I don't really know too much about Norwich CBS, to be honest, and that's being brutally honest. If you're going by results, I would say, I don't know, C+.
I'd say B, just purely on the fact that before the start of the season, their squad would just it got absolutely tore apart. They lost a lot of key players before the season even kicked off. They're slowly starting to build something this season, but it's not up to the standards. Well, I expect Norwich to be top half. Do you know what I mean? Okay. But,
I know you've been to a couple of games, and I've only really seen highlights and stuff like that. So
I've struggled to settle with a B for CBS.
Fair enough.
I'd expect so much more from them.
Yeah. Cornard, probably a B. I'd say B.
I agree.
Yeah, I think I'd be happy if I gave them a B.
The only reason why I agree with that is because the last few seasons they have been kind of the whipping boys of Thurlow Nunn.
Yeah,
and it hasn't really been fair because it's the club that's there. Because you got to think Cornard, the clubs that are around it like Sudbury, Halstead, there are a lot of bigger clubs. So to get players in and over there is probably quite difficult.
Yeah. Right, let's bring on our next guest, the one guest that we do have for the Thurlow Nunn North. It is Debenham LC, and I'm delighted to be able to say that Alex Eggleton is in the building. Alex, how you doing, my man? You well?
Yeah, all good, thanks, gents. How are you lot?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. It's been a very tough start for you boys on paper. How do you reflect on your opening 9 games of the season?
So pretty much that, really. Start of the season when the fixtures come out, we knew that was going to be in for a tough run. When you look in the likes of, Fakenham, Downham, Wanderers, then playing Lakenheath, March and Mulbarton at the start, first 2 months, it's always going to be a tough run. But then now looking at the league table, we've actually played 7 of the top 8 already. From that perspective, of course, we'd like to be higher up in the league. We'd like to have got a few more results in that. And there's probably some games we deserved a couple of extra points, but it is what it is. We did, Mixture didn't turn up and other teams playing well. So we're now looking to reflect. And sadly, November was the month where we were going to be like, right, this is where we really start kicking on and, we're playing teams around us for a change and start stepping up the table.
So for you, it's just come at the completely wrong time, all of this lockdown, because a lot of people who are struggling, quite honestly, will probably go, "Oh, thank God for that. We can just have some time to think. We can breathe. Let's just try and assess where we're at." It sounds like you're the complete opposite. You were really up for November.
Yeah, so like I say, we always knew that September and October was going to be tough. But again, we've underperformed a little bit, and like we would like to be more around the 10th, 11th stage at the moment in the league table.
Yeah.
But yeah, so November was the one we've said from day one. This is when we're really going to show ourselves. But again, like other teams have had a bit of a rebuild this year. We've lost 7 or 8 regular starters from last season. So bringing in almost a whole new, pretty much a new squad coming in, mixed with some others that are really stepping up. And me and Guy are perfectly happy with the squad we've got at the moment. We know that we should be doing a lot better than we are. So we're really looking forward to they're working hard through this period and getting back on the pitch.
Yeah.
Do you think the restart will almost mean that things get reshuffled again in terms of league positions? Do you think people will come back with different intensity and it could sort of open the league up again?
Oh, totally. I said this during the normal lockdown. I think everyone's going to come out, like guns out of a cannon, bullets out of a cannon. But it's going to happen again. I think as soon as this comes out, because personally, I can't see us going back on that first week in December. Hopefully we do, but I can't see it. But then when we do eventually go back, definitely fingers crossed. When we do go back, I think everyone's going to be raring to go, and we're going to be one of them teams gunning for it, to prove that we shouldn't be where we are in the league table. But then if you look at the league table, win 2 games and we're pretty much 11th. So it's still tight down that bottom area, and we've still got loads of time to sort this out. And we've got full faith in the squad we've got that we're going to do that.
I mean, just moving forward for the rest of the season, it's a bit of a strange time because obviously we don't know when we're going to be restarting. We don't know who your opening fixtures are going to be against. It's all a bit, every club's in the same boat. But for you guys now moving forward into the second half, in inverted commas, of the season, what are your aims now? What are you guys talking about in terms of where you want to finish now? Is there are you having those kind of conversations, or is that really not taking place?
Yeah, we're having them conversations. There's not too much that I want to lay out to everyone where we want to be at the moment. I'd probably say, come sort of, say if we were to go back 2nd of December, we would like to, sort of mid-January be pushing into that sort of 10th spot, pushing up into 9th in that area. Because the aim at the end of the season is to be that sort of top 8, top 7 side. So, we still feel that we're on track for that. We've got a lot of the top teams out of the way already. So we feel we can have a good run and get some good form behind us. And then we do play them teams again. We'll hopefully have that momentum to take it to them. I mean, you guys were there at the Wanderers game and you saw how we took them at the second half.
Yeah,
but, they absolutely fair play to them. They killed us in the first. And I wish you guys were there at the Lakenheath game, because the scoreline didn't represent the game in my honest opinion. I thought that we deserved to take that one 3-1, even 3-0. So Marchtown again, we got robbed at the end. Don't want to say too much, I want to get in trouble, but we should have got at least.
Don't worry, nobody from the FA watches these things.
It's one of those. It was some will say it's definitely a pen, some will say it's definitely not. But that's a game. It's a tough place to go with Marchtown away, especially the form that they're in and the club they've got. So to come away thinking, we should have got at least a point there shows where we can perform and the levels we can push to.
Yeah.
So we've got this awful start of fixtures out of the way. This is what I was saying about November. We was really hoping we can get going.
Yeah.
Do you not think it was kind of a little bit frustrating with especially the Wanderers game because of how well you played that second half? Is it been a bit of a sign of kind of the same story where the first half has been a bit different to the second half? Because that's the only game that I've watched personally. And obviously with the results that you've been talking about that haven't kind of gone your way, has it been kind of like that where first half maybe a bit different than the second half, or?
Yeah, it has been. I think there's a lot of times that it's very honest to say that we've sort of had to go behind to start really kicking into gear.
Yeah.
So but then we're starting to see in the latter stages before we went in that we're really taking it to teams from earlier on in the game, and if we could do that from the get go, we'll be getting a hell of a lot of different results. So it's it's getting that into the squad and getting that
Yeah.
Determination and drive, like say with the Lake game. That's what I wish that was on film, because I'd be watching that still back now, because that was immense.
Definitely. Alex, really appreciate you coming on, mate. I'd love to stay on a chat and get a bit more. We're just time restraints. Unfortunately, we got to rattle through the next few divisions. But I really hope that come the start of whenever football may be back, that you guys can start picking up some results and climbing up that league table. But mate, really appreciate you coming on and representing Debenham tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers,
mate. Cheers. We'll rattle through these last two. Haverhill and Wisbech. I think, are we in agreement? It's a C from both. Yeah. I don't really think there's much else to say on it. Do we agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yep. SIL time, ladies and gentlemen. let's get into it. We'll start at the top, as we would do. Claydon, for me, it's an A. I know people knew that they were going to be doing well this season, but they have, they've delivered on that.
Yeah,
and I think that's really all you can ask for, which is why when we go back to the Roxton thing and we talk about their 9 wins in 9, and people are saying, well, we've had that conversation. What more can they do to impress us? I think from Claydon's perspective as well, there's a lot of good teams in this division. I think at least 7 or 8 teams could easily win this division for me. Yeah. So I think for them to be sitting top of the pile and doing incredibly well so far this season, obviously they've only lost the 1 game. For me, it's an A. Adam, Halesworth Town.
Pretty much the pick of the bunch so far, aren't they?
Yeah.
A for me, I know they've obviously had 1 loss, and I was going to use the word unstoppable so people would pick me up on it, but scoring goals, they've got the games again on their side, and they've picked up some good solid results as we've gone through week on week. So
yeah,
really good position to start the league off for them.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, Trimley Red Devils.
I'm gonna go A-.
Right.
Trimley is a very difficult place to go and play. Very difficult place to go and play. It's obviously, I haven't got the fixtures up on there at the moment, but I think they're probably doing a little bit more than what's probably expected of them. They're a very stable side. I could see them being very stable mid-table. So yeah, that's that's my personal opinion. It's
that's why we have you on the show, mate.
I'll probably get a lot of stick when I go and play their when we go and play their reserves in the cup. So, but no, it's just I think they are doing a little bit more than what they're, but not too much, because they are a difficult side to go and play against.
No, fair enough. We're going to move on to East Bergholt. I was due to have somebody from East Bergholt coming on the show, but unfortunately they weren't able to make it. But they have put in a quick statement about what they think about the league so far. So I just want to read that out very quickly. They reckon, and this is from David Goodchild, he said that I would give us a B+ at the moment. We're performing well, but are giving away late points against Old Newton and Claydon, so we could be a lot higher than in 4th place. Henley and Cranes will be at the top of the table when they catch up on games along with Claydon, and hopefully ourselves will be battling out come the end of the season. Halesworth are flying, but you often get a surge following promotion. I just haven't seen them play enough to gauge what they're like. We're delighted to have got a cup win against Debenham in the Senior Cup. It's a great game, ended on penalties, and we move on to the next stage. I'm going to give them an A. I think they've been one of those teams that, from what I've seen and from my time of covering the division, it's been they've been just in mid-table. Do you know what I mean? Maybe slightly higher, and maybe just top half. But to see them doing extremely well at the top of the table, they're right in there amongst that top lot of teams I think can easily go on and win this. I'm giving them an A. Just before we move on to Benall St Mary, Adam, I've got Dan Barnard from Claydon in the green room. Dan, welcome to the show, my man. Just talk to me about Claydon, because we've already briefly touched on them. But how do you reflect on the start of the season from their perspective?
I think they've done okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to anyone in Claydon, the result against Trimley, should have been a bit different. And obviously, the only game that we should have really lost was the Old Newton game, but we managed to scrape it in a 93rd, 94th minute game, 93rd, 94th minute, goal. So, we're sitting top at the moment, but there's many teams out there that are gonna chase us as well. With the players we've got at the moment, we should be really hitting 7 out of 7 wins. To be fair.
Right. Okay. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Do you think that's so? Based on what you're saying, that's because of the players you signed during the summer. You think that they'll be happy, but things could be better.
I don't think it's the players that we brought in. I think it's the team that they've already got. They've always had the team's been together for so many years. So they've had to. Kenny's done well, and he's done with his transfers. But I mean, it's the team that he's already had. Last season before it got null and void, we were knocking on the door for top 3 already before the signings. So now to add that extra bit of signings on means that he's done his work quite well and the areas that was needed to be. So
I think the additions that you did make, obviously you had Ivan coming from Achilles, and you got Ryan Ragg that's come through as well.
Yeah.
Those two, Ivan is a very good player. I think it's a great addition to your side.
Yeah. I mean, Ivan hasn't come in to get into the team straight away. He's had to fight for a place. Yeah. So, it's not as where he's walked in because he's played for Achilles. He's had to work for his place, and he's done really well since he's worked. And he's what he's done on the pitch is really good.
Yeah.
So
So moving forward then for the rest of this season from a Claydon perspective, obviously you're involved in the A side and you get to see a lot of what goes on at the club. What do you kind of think of the expectations now for moving forward for the rest of the season? They're in that pack, which a lot of people thought they were, and I've predicted them to do very well this season. Yeah. Do you kind of just see them kicking on and just continuing to do what they've done?
You have to do that. But the trouble is that whenever you're top of the league, you're the team to beat. So everyone will be gunning to come and beat us. So Claydon will have to be on top throughout. And just obviously, we haven't played a few of the top teams. We haven't played Halesworth yet. So we haven't played Henley yet. So they're tough games that we have to play against. So hopefully, come December when the games come, I think Claydon's first game is at home to Cranes. So that'll be an interesting one if it starts. Yeah. So
definitely. Dan, really appreciate you coming on, mate, to talk about Claydon and representing the club. Thank you very much for coming on. Keep involved in the chat, mate, because your comments are absolutely brilliant. I am watching them. They're absolutely brilliant. Keep it going, mate. Cheers for that.
Oh, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So let's bring the league table up. Adam, moving back on to Bennell. We're next in the table. What's your rating for them?
They're nestled in 5th quietly. I think they're going to do bits and really pile the pressure on. They're an A all day long for me. Yeah. People might disagree in the chat based on what they might expect them to do, but I think they've just silently slipped themselves in there and one more win and they're really in the business end of the league.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Definitely agree with that. Alex, Bilderston Rangers. I know, Adam, you're gutted that you're not going to be talking about Bilderston, but
I am. I think Adam should talk about Bilderston if he wants to talk about Bilderston. All right,
go on, Adam. Go on then, Adam. We'll give you the opportunity.
It's similar to what I said about Gloucester. They've recovered. So they started off in a real poor way, and then it's turned around, and they've gone from one end of the table to the other in just a couple of weeks. So, yeah, for me, a big B for Bilderston.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
yeah. I think let's just say they started off. Obviously, Halesworth was a tough game, first game they played, and then they played Trimley Red Devils, which, as I say, is a very tough place to go to. And they kind of turned it around. Obviously, when they played Ransoms, won at Ransoms, and they've gone on a bit of a nice run. So I would say B as well.
Okay, fair enough. Where are we up to? I've lost my train of thought now.
Are you giving me ransoms then?
Ransoms.
Are you giving me ransoms? Giving me ransoms. Yeah. I'm going to say B as well. I'm going to say B because obviously being at the club there last season, I could see where Deeks is wanting to take the club, which is good. Yeah. And I think they are there and thereabouts to be competitive. I think to start off with, they had a few results which didn't go their way. And I think a lot of people thought they might end up being a little bit of the whipping boys of the league. But Ransoms are not like that. Ransoms are not that type of club. Obviously, they've had a few youth players come through and doing well in there. And I'd as I say, I'd stick with that. I think that's quite fair.
Okay, I'm going to give Old Newton a B, and the reason why I'm giving them a B is because the expectations of that club now, after how well they adjusted to senior life last year, look, it's difficult because of how competitive this division is. But I think from their perspective, I know Macca, and he'll want to be doing a lot better than in 8th place after 7 games. So I'm giving them a B. I expect they will do a lot better come the other side of lockdown. Adam, I'm giving you the difficult task of Bourne Vale.
How many teams are in this league? Can we have a mid-league break to do the Super Six? Because there's just been a couple of requests, and we should have done it between this and the other one. We've forgotten.
We'll do it. We'll do it after this division.
Fine. Okay. Bourne Vale's a tough one. I'm happy to settle on a B there, just because it's there or thereabouts. I think they'll probably feel they could have done a bit better than they have done.
Yeah.
No, what I know. I'm comfortable with a B.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving on to our next team, Henley Athletic. I'm delighted to be able to say we've got another guest on coming into the show now. It is none other than goal-scoring sensation in the SIL, Clark Bruce. Sir, how you doing, my friend? You well?
Good evening. Yes, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, my friend. Not too bad. Henley, then talk to us. It looks weird seeing Henley in the quote unquote lower half of the table, but obviously 4 games played, it's hard to judge. How
means nothing.
3 wins out of that. You are doing well in terms of the games you've played. How do you kind of reflect on the season so far? Has it been a bit frustrating you haven't been able to get some more games under your belt?
Yeah, majorly frustrating. I don't think we've gone 2 weekends where we've played back to back. I think we've played a game, then missed a week, then played a game, then missed a week. It's been very, very frustrating, and we had 3 good wins, but the disappointing was the defeat to Howsworth. But credit to them, they're without doubt they're going to be up there by the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I knew Tony was going to. I knew he was going to pipe up at some point during this. But I mean, for you as a team, and I think you've had quite a few players coming into the squad. Has that just kind of made things a bit difficult to really settle down and not being able to get that kind of run of games? And I suppose you don't really know where you're at as a team. I know you've done well from the 4 games you've played, but still, you must be still thinking, what, we're in November, but where are we? How do we fare against the other teams?
Yeah, that's like you say, we're in November, but it just still feels like the start of the season for us because we've only played 5 games, 4 league games and a cup match. We had 3, maybe 4 friendlies, which pre-season wise isn't a strong pre-season. So although we're near Christmas, it does feel like the start of the season still because we're playing catch up to the teams that have some teams play twice as many games as us.
Do you think that's going to, how much of an effect is that going to have come the end of the season? Because not all cup competitions have been cancelled. We've still got some of those to kind of cram in as well. We haven't even got to the point where weather's starting to seriously affect the pitches. And, we are going to get to that point where games are going to be postponed for that. You guys are already playing catch up. Realistically, where do we see where do we? How are we going to be able to finish the season?
I think it can work in one or two ways. If you're cramming in games at the end of the season, if you win a couple and you get on a run, then it can work in your favour because the momentum's a huge thing, especially if you're going for a title or a cup and you're pushing for something. But it could also go the other way. If you lose at the start of a run-in, it can then snowball and create bigger problems than what you thought you had anyway. So hopefully we'd go for the first one, win a couple of games, get on a roll, and then momentum just takes through.
Yeah, definitely. You as a club, in terms of Henley and what you guys stand for, you take the cup competitions very seriously. Is that something again moving forward as well? Because I know it might sound a bit of a daft question to some people, but because cups have been cancelled left, right, and centre, are you guys really trying to just get the league? Are you concentrating on the league and saying, right, this is the most important thing this year, or do you still want to have a cup run? Because, as you said, that could have a detrimental effect maybe later on down the line.
I think when we look at this season, if we do get the cups played, I think there'll be a bonus. If you're in a cup match, obviously you want to win it, but this season, league is a priority. It'd be nice to win the league, and this season, especially look at 3, 4, maybe 5 teams could even win it this season. So I think the league needs to be the focus. The cups will be a bonus, and Henley have got a great record in the cups. I think we've lost 1 cup match in the last 4 years in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So we've got a good record, but the league is the focus this season.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, Adam, just any questions you?
No, I was going to say, I mean, with the worry that the rug is going to be pulled under the feet of the cups, really, I think I massively agree. Is if everyone can push their focus onto the league, get the games done, and let's just make sure that happens, really, and everyone gets through it injury-free, still feeling pretty fit, I think is the important thing. And SIL's got a few more restrictions on playing games, night matches and stuff like that can't happen. So it's always going to be tough, but I just want to make sure we can see the season out.
Definitely. Alex?
I don't want to sound biased. But no, do you know what is one of the things that drew me to the club of how it is, how the first team is, how there's a lot of camaraderie in there as well. And even with the new lads coming in, I can see that they've slotted in quite well. Obviously, I speak to a couple of them on a regular basis, but I don't really need to because you can see it. You can see it from the outside in. The club isn't a brilliant club. To be associated with it, to anyone to be associated with it, it's a pleasure. Not to sound too biased, but we all want the same thing. We want to win leagues. We want to win cups.
Yeah.
Clark, you've been there a few seasons now, and you've still got that. I can still see that you've still got that same passion and same hunger to do it, which is what I'm trying to instill into the boys that play for me to be able to push through to the first team, just to have that passion and that hunger to want to win.
Yeah, definitely. Clark, really appreciate your time, mate. I'd love to, again, I've said it to everyone, I really want to chat more to you, but I'm afraid we're going to have to cut things short because we're still on the SIL Senior. We've still got 3 divisions to cover, but really appreciate you coming on and representing Henley, mate.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.
No worries. Cheers for coming on. Thanks, mate. Let's try and get our way through the rest of these teams. Where were we? Who had Crane? I can't remember now. Who was up to Crane?
That was yours, I thought.
It's yours because I had Henley.
I'll go with him. I think it's a B. Look, it's been tough. They've lost a lot of players. It hasn't gone the way that a lot of people thought it would do, but hopefully they can start recovering. There are a few games behind everybody else, but it hasn't been as good of a start as what everybody else as what they wanted. They were unbeaten last season. I think it's a B from that point. Adam, Hawley United.
It's been up and down from them. The thing is, I'm not quite sure what their expectations were going in. They've had a couple of games that had to be called off. I'd be happy to sort of put B- on it.
Yeah, fair enough. Westerfield now. I'm delighted to be able to say we've got Adam Potter, the manager for Westerfield, on the show now. Adam, how you doing, mate? You well?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourselves?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for coming on tonight. Appreciate you hanging around. I know you've been in the the green room, so to speak, for quite a while now. How do you reflect on your opening 6 games?
Roller coaster springs to mind.
Yeah.
No, look, based on where Westerfield were last year, I'll put it down as a success, so far. If you want to look at last year. However, us as a club, we're trying to forget about last year. Last year's in the past. We're trying to look forward. It's been a tough month, when you have Cranes, Claydon, Old Newton, all in the same month.
Yeah.
And I've got lads who have never played SIL football before, and just as their confidence is starting to build, you then come against these. Claydon was just it was just a masterclass on how you play football. And I hope that the boys take a lot from that. However, very disappointed in the way my lads expressed themselves in that game. I felt like we could have gave them a bit more of a game. We just did not turn up on the day. So it's a bit up and down. The boys are still learning each other. It is a rebuild. And after the hype and the start of the season, it's very easy to forget that this club is still rebuilding. This club is still, they haven't had the minutes together like a lot of these, like the Claydons, the Old Newtons have had together. We're still trying to gel with each other on the football pitch.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if you can argue with the achievement that you've made and the steps you're making compared to last season, though, is phenomenal, really. Like
the club's certainly going back in the right direction again, and I don't think you can see any more of that when you consider that over the summer there was even talks of the club folding. You look where we are now. Compared to actually. You got to remember, it's only several weeks ago that conversation was happening. Is the club going to survive? Is the club going to continue? So it's for us. It's been up and down. The boys still need to put a lot of hard work in if we're going to continue to do some eye turning in this division.
Yeah. Definitely. I couldn't summarize it any better than what you've just said there. I think considering where things were last season to where things are at now, moving forward for the rest of this season, I suppose really is the aim and the only aim for this year to kind of just to stabilize yourself in the league and try and get the club back to where it once was.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously as a manager. All we ever want to do is win every game of football. We know it's not possible. I set up to win every game of football. I hope the boys go out with the attitude to win every game of football. But I think people have not got to get too carried away that the fact is we are a new team, and it's not going to be a side yet that's going to be challenging in the top half of the SIL division, the senior division, actually. But who knows? Who knows what happened next season? If we can take these steps this year, survive in the senior league, that would be a great success for us as a club. To stay in the senior league this year, and then we build on there. You start turning some heads. The hardest battle I've had, and Chris, my assistant's had, is we spoke to a lot of players over the summer, and unfortunately, there's this dark cloud that's been above Westerfield because of last season. So when you speak to players who can do that level of football, Westerfield, that's all you get all the time is, no, I think I'm going to, why wouldn't you, if you've got the opportunity to go and play for Cranes, Claydon, Old Newton, Bilderston, why wouldn't you? They're more established there, so the aim for us, get that dark cloud out of the way, and then, and show people that Westerfield do mean business, that we as a management team mean business, and, we're not going to rest at just being a side that stabilises in the senior league. We're going to look at progressing. I've not long finished playing. I've got winning in my blood. I want to be at the top half of the table, not the bottom half. And
definitely,
that's the plan for Westerfield anyway. The long term plan.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's difficult as well, because I think with all, especially the rebuilding clubs like yourselves, Achilles as well, those established SIL Senior clubs to try and rebuild, especially with lockdown and stuff like that, and trying to get that draw of players in. It's so much more difficult. I don't think people understand it, and you have to take your hat off.
Yeah, agreed. It's ridiculously hard. You know, we're dealing with a totally different era, a different breed of player now. You know, back in my day when I played, if I said I was going to sign on for a club, I signed on for that club. I didn't go anywhere else through the course of that season, whether how good or bad my season was going. I stayed because I was loyal to my to my work. I wanted to do something, but unfortunately now, not all players, but a few will go in hunt of glory as opposed to loyalty. Not. It sounds a bit bad the way I'm putting that, but they're not so much.
We know what you mean.
Yeah,
people want to play Champions League before they've played Division One. That's probably the best way I can put it. Right. Sometimes you've got to learn to walk before you can run. That's the biggest battle we've had. We had a lot of players come and have a look, but unless they're seeing Champions League football straight away, they're not interested. And it's really tough, to try and get people on board with your plans that you've got for the club in the long term,
Yeah. Well, I think you guys have done a great job to start things off. I hope you can continue it. And I want to get you on at some point later on in the season to kind of review how things are doing. But as I said, you've done a superb start. You're getting a lot of love in the chat, mate. So you obviously are clearly doing something right. So, congratulations on a good start. And hopefully after lockdown, you guys can push on and continue.
No, thank you very much.
Really appreciate you coming on the show and representing.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Nice one.
No worries. Take care, guys.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Right. Move on to the rest of the division now. Copplestonians. I'm going to kick things off with it's not been a good start for them. A lot of people expect Cops to do very well in this division. So I think it's fair to give them a C. I know they've only played 5 games, but it's not been the start that they want. They're a team on their day, which is on their day, they're unbelievable. They are absolutely unbelievable, but they just need to get that run of consistency going. Adam, Capel, Plough.
It's really difficult. It's not a team I don't think anyone expected to be world beaters. I think if you look at the other 2 that are down there, they've managed to control the goal difference a bit, and you should probably give them a B- and be comfortable with that and hope that they can kick on. They're 4 points, so like one win sees them shift straight up the table.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, Leiston St Margaret's. Oh, his microphone's muted. No,
sorry. No, I'm here. I'm going to have to go with C with Leiston St Margaret's, just purely for the fact that with the facilities that I know they've had a change of management, but I just think they should be probably more mid-table than down the bottom, to be honest.
No, fair enough.
Especially with the amount of games that they've played now, really.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. The final one for me to grade then is Achilles. Look, it's been I think things were slowly starting to get there under Dean. Now it's gone a completely different way. We're going to have new management in. I don't think an announcement has been made about the new management yet. I'm not entirely sure. Sorry?
Not yet.
No, there you go. So look, it's not been the start everyone wanted. It's a C. I can't give them a higher rating than that, but let's just see how things progress after the 4-week lockdown. Let's see where they're at a few weeks after the season gets going, and we'll move on from there. So Div 1 time now. Again, I'm going to start things off with Wickham Market. 7 out of 7. There's no argument here. It's an A, right? Perfect start. They're absolutely superb this season. Yep.
Yeah.
So
happy days. Let's move on. Moving on to Sporting 87, and I'm delighted to be able to say that now we have got one of the most respected gentlemen in the SIL, known to many as the SIL guru. It is Sporting 87 manager Jonathan Warnock. John, how you doing, mate? You well?
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah.
How do you like that for an introduction? let's talk about your start to the season then. 6 games played, 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. How do you kind of reflect on the opening 6 games?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been a good start for it. So it's actually, historically, it's been our best ever start. We don't tend to start that well, actually. It's even in our best years when we've finished the highest position, we finished our first 5 games, we normally end up drawing a few too many, but we've only drawn 1 this year and lost 1, so we've done well.
Yeah. What do you kind of put that down to?
Strength of squad. We've been fortunate that we've had players available this year, and we didn't pick up any injuries pre-season, and the strength of the squads have been good opening games, so we've got on a bit of a roll, so it's been good.
Adam, you've watched obviously Sporting play this season. What did you make of him?
I was impressed. Like, the mindset was right as well. I think they came up from a difficult position in that game and turned it around, and showed strength of character to come through it. And I think, like, I know that they went on to beat the same team in the league as well, and just kept going. Like I say, I think that they look like a good footballing side, well organised, well drilled, and it seemed that despite all of the disruption maybe that we'd had over summer and everything else, they look like you got your team playing in a rhythm and knowing what they want to do, despite a bit of a hiccup to start the game off. But they sort of settled in after that and went about their business.
Yeah, unfortunate. I mean, we haven't had many changes to the squad. I've just added a couple of boys from our under-18 Thurlow Nunn team, and we've added a couple of new signings. So it's not a major change. You're just adding to an already established squad. So it makes it easier, really, than creating a new team. And the two boys that have come in from the outside, I mean, Courtney. So last season, me and my assistant Neil, we highlighted players that we wanted to bring into the team. We played against viewers in the Suffolk Junior Cup. They had several good players, and one of them was Courtney. He played really, really well against us. And we said if we could get him to sign for us next year, we'd try and over the Untitled Chapter when he came over. So and he's a really good player.
He was someone that I was particularly impressed with when I saw you play. His goal was fantastic. Really good.
He's got loads of class, and he manages to find little pockets of space, and he brings other players in. He's intelligent, and he's a great character as well.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on to the next, the kind of latter stages of the season now. Let's get. Sporting have always been one of those teams that have been nearly there. They've nearly got promoted, and it's always been very, very close towards the end of the season. Now you're in a position where you've started off this season well. The aim has got to be promotion, surely.
Yeah, that's got to be the aim, but I mean, you've got to be good enough to win it, and we obviously haven't been good enough in the past. If you look at the league table, I think it's as tight this year as it's been. The difference from the bottom to the top, I think, is very, very marginal. I mean, bar second from bottom, I mean, they're in a false position because of the games we played. We played against them second or third game, and I thought they were a really good football. They played really good football. I thought they were a really good footballing side. And that Michael Snedden plays for them. He's a really good player. They've got 1 or 2 others in that team, So, and then you look at Grunsborough. We played Grunsborough, and again, I thought they had some good players when we beat them. So, right the way through that league, the difference is not great. It's very marginal.
Yeah. We've always turned around and said that Division One is a very tough league to get out of. It was unlucky for you last season with the way it went, and because you were doing well towards the end of the season, and unfortunately, I think COVID come at the wrong time for yourselves, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it did. We weren't that far behind last season. No. Handsoms and Halesworth. I mean, Halesworth quite a bit above. I mean, they've proved that this season. Very, very strong. You know, Deeks I know really well, and I, you know, really well at Ransoms. He set them up well, and he did really well. So I've got this. I felt that would have been interesting come the end of the season, because Ransoms and Howes will still have to pick age. So we had to play Ransoms as well. And had we beat him early in the season, and had we again, I think that would have been tight. But you know, COVID came, you just have to deal with it. So it's no good.
Well, Jonathan, again, I'd want to chat more to you, but with time restraints, I'm afraid we can't continue. We're going to have to cut the interview short. But I really, really appreciate you coming on, mate. We'll chat more. I'll talk to you after the show. But really, really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on, mate.
All the best, and thanks for what you do.
No worries. Cheers, mate. Really appreciate that. Adam, I'm going to give you the task of grading Tatting Stone, because we'll move on from a sporting perspective. How do you rate Tatting Stone?
Till 2 weeks ago, it would have been an A, but it's just fell off. There's a lot of hype there, but it's just fell off a little bit, and they'll probably be disappointed with it. So it's a B for me.
Okay. Alex Bedricksworth, what are you rating them?
B plus.
Okay.
Just because obviously they're a new side that they're still classed as a new side to the SIL, and I think they've come in and done really well and established themselves, and to be up there and abouts, with only being, I think, either second or third season that they've been in this league, I think they're doing probably a lot more than what people expected.
Yeah. Don't worry, Dan. I will grade the team in 13th place, just because I know everyone's dying to hear me say it, and I know everyone's dying to hear me pronounce the name. Adam, just I want you to grade Stowe Falcons, because we have got Coddenham coming up, where I've got somebody from the club on to talk to them. So grade Stowe Falcons for me.
Stowe Falcons, I think, are having a very good season so far. For me, I'd say B plus. I think this is a good year for them.
Yeah,
they're picking up good results. Their wins have been good wins.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Right. So, from a Coddenham perspective, let's bring on our guest for Coddenham. Lee Manley is in the building. Lee, how you doing, mate? You well? Thanks for staying.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for staying awake and with us. I know it's incredibly late, so I really appreciate you this on a school night, mate. How do you think things have gone from a Coddenham perspective? Again, it must be very, very frustrating that you haven't been able to play the amount of games that you guys have wanted. You've had a lot of postponements, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. We've had a lot of postponements, but I think actually when we look at our last game, it's probably worked in our favour a little bit. You know, we'd had more changes than Mrs. Doubtfire when it had gone from like pre-season through to now. You know, we had a lot of new players coming in, myself and my brother included, and it's taken us a little while to gel. And I think where we've had game weekends which are free, it's allowed us to get together socially, albeit in your sixes and whatever else, and have some training sessions as well. And I think we were just starting to sort of see the fruits of that, and that showed in our last performance. You know, it was a fantastic team performance against Wenaston, who, again, I think the league position is false for them, because we had to work hard for it, and they've not been pasted by anybody prior to it, and we just turned it on, and we were really, really good, and I think we'll kick on from here.
You've kind of established yourself now as a club in Div One. Obviously, we know about the rise through the leagues that the club had. It's difficult to talk, you never like to say as a club you want to just establish yourself. You obviously, everybody wants to win every single game that they step foot onto the pitch. But for you as a club, is that what are the aims for this season, do you think?
You know what? I spoke to Joel the gaffer beforehand, because I thought that would be a question, and for him, I think he's very much keen on it just being better than last year. They finished 7th last year. We're looking at top 5. We want the Resis to go up and make sure the club moves forward as a whole rather than just one sector of it. And
right.
And I look at the league table, and I want Coddenham to be mentioned in the same breath as Wickham and Tat, Stowe and Sporting. Top 5, I think, is where we need to be pushing. And we've got a really exciting squad which has got a real good mix of some experience and some youth and some flair. And you know, if we can stick together, I think we've got every chance of making some noise there.
Yeah, definitely. Alex,
think-
you look like you're poised with a question.
Yeah, well, no, I've kind of said this before. It's like Coddenham are a side that they're very good on the big games. You know, I would say more last season. You know, you'd have teams come to you and you'd give them a proper good game that you probably wouldn't expect them to. Sort of Ransoms, I think, were undefeated when they came to you, and then you ended up drawing 1-1 with them. You know, and a lot of people think that Ransoms probably would have turned, you know, would have won that game, and you gave them a really, really good game. It's a very 50-50. I would like to see you up there, to be honest, competing for second, third, fourth, because I think you, as a club, you probably do deserve to be up there.
No, I appreciate that, and I think what you say is right for Coddenham historically. I mean, this is my first season at Coddenham. I always played against them for Shotley, and we certainly felt that they were a team where we'd have to compete against Coddenham in the big games, but they'd probably give you something later on in the season where they'd lose to someone they shouldn't. Yeah. But, you know, in that dressing room now, I'm more confident that we'll win the games we should, and we'll fight through the games that we really have to. I think there is a change in the dynamic. You know, Joel is so anal; he knows every player in the division. You know, the way that they play, the structures, the shapes. You know, who didn't turn up for training on Thursday night for an opposition? Joel somehow knows it, and it works in our favour. We've got Drew, a new sort of young coach who's great as well, and he's put a real sort of fresh sort of push into the lads, and it's such a competitive, deep squad that we've got that, you know, the skipper's running a Strava thing every week just to try and make sure he loses some of his timber so he keeps his place. You know, it's going in a good direction, I think, and time will tell. I mean, if we do come back in December, we play Tattingstone and Wickham before we hit the January mark, so that would be a really big test for us. And we're looking forward to it.
Definitely. Lee, really appreciate you coming on, mate, and representing the club. Again, apologies that we've kept you on so late, but really thank you so much for coming on and talking about the club. Really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Cheers, Lee. Thank you very much. Adam, Southwold, let's get through this division then.
Well, B for them.
B?
Just Midland. Yeah, I think they're doing all right.
Yeah, fair enough. Alex, Bacton?
Same, B for Bacton, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Stanton. I'm gonna give Stanton a B as well. I think it was a tough start to the season, but they're playing. They're starting to. Oh well, hopefully, from what I've been told, they're starting to play a good brand of football. They're bringing through the youth players, which, you know, obviously we had Ferguson on the previous show, who spoke about what the club is trying to do moving forward. So hopefully we can start to see that come through for the rest of the season. So I'm going to give them a B.
Big moves, Stanton.
Definitely. Adam, Grunsborough.
Tough one for me. That's one of the clubs that I genuinely don't know too much about. I'll hand that one back to you, James, because I genuinely don't feel confident on that one.
I would say I'd probably have to say a B- on that one, because I think a lot of people at the club during the summer were I think they'd expect to be a couple of positions higher than what they are. But a lot of people will testify that Grunsborough on their day are a very good team, and they do give clubs a good run for their money. So yeah, I'd say a B- on that one. Alex, before you talk about Kesgrave, I just want to point out, and Dan has put it already in the chat, they are currently looking for a first team manager at the moment. They put the advert out on Twitter today, so if anybody is interested in it, go over to the AFC Kesgrave, go over to their Twitter page and get in contact with them. You know, if it's a role that interests you, the role is available on there. How do you kind of rate their season very quickly, Alex?
It's not been great, really, to be honest. Is it? I would have expected them to be a lot higher.
Yeah.
I probably not a lot higher. I would have expected them to probably mid-table, maybe a little bit above. Which they have been there and thereabouts the last few seasons. So I'd just say I don't know what's going on there at the moment, but I would have to say a C on that one.
Okay. Barham, I think, look, it's
ungraded.
Grade Barham.
You can't. That's got to be ungraded.
I can't give them a rating. It's just ridiculous how much. They need to start playing some games. Let's just put
Get
it
out
that
of the
way.
travel agents and get on the grass.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Have I learned my mistake? Is it Wenniston? People correct. Come on, chat.
I ain't saying nothing because I got the Wasps wrong.
Right. I'm gonna say a C, because you can't have 5 games with 5 defeats and expect a different rating, can you? Let's be honest.
No.
With them, they just need to scrape a 1-0 win from somewhere because they're not conceding loads, really. How much is that averaging out per game?
Minus 12 isn't horrific.
Yeah, I got it right. I got it right. We can end the show. No, I'm only joking. We're not going to end the show. So thanks, Tony. I appreciate the A star, my friend. I really appreciate it. Let's move on to Div 2. Wolverhampton United. Look, it's an A. Perfect start. 4 wins. 4, absolutely perfect. 14 plus goal difference. Adam, Melton United.
I'm still sticking with an A for them.
Yeah,
it is, but I think they might get caught up a bit. I think the next review will look different for them.
Okay. Alex, Ufford Sports. Tough start for the season, but they've turned it around. So, what grade are you giving them?
I'm gonna go A-.
Yeah.
It's, as I say, they had that tough start, but as I say, they have started now turning it around. They've got themselves up there. Obviously, I know Dean personally, and he's got very good players over there, and I think he was just needed to get them to gel.
Yeah,
and they're starting to do that now. So,
yeah, agreed on that part.
Yeah.
Saxmundham, I'm giving him an A. I think it's been a great start to the season for him. I'm really impressed with him. I thought they were just going to be a standard mid-table team, but they've done incredibly well in their 6 games, so I'm giving them an A. Adam, Bromford Road Old Boys.
I expected a bit more from them, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, same.
I did expect a stronger start.
Yeah.
So I know some people won't like that because of the club, but I did expect a bit more.
I think this is the way that we were talking about with the grading, where you are expecting some more. On paper, you look at the players that they've got. These are players that play on a Saturday together. They play on a Sunday together. You would expect them to do better.
Yeah. That's the thing. I feel harsh giving them a C.
Yeah.
I do expect them to do so much more than they have done, but they've still picked up those 3 wins and a couple of draws. The way the league's worked out, it isn't catastrophic yet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair enough. That's a fair shout. Alex, Cockfield United.
I'm going to give them a B.
Yeah.
I'm giving them a B. They are a tough side to go to and a tough side to play against. But I thought they would start doing a little bit more now. They've kind of been there and thereabouts the last few seasons. So I would expect them to start pushing on now.
Yeah, fair enough. AFC Your Shirts. I'd say B. I don't think it's been. Look, 3 wins and 2 defeats. It is what it is. You're sitting in 7th place for a reason. They've got games in hand, sure, but I think it's not been a good start. It's not been a great start. They're in that same bracket as what Cockfield and I would presume maybe Somersham are. Adam, would you agree with that from a Somersham perspective?
Siri definition of mid-table form, B.
Yeah. Alex, Elmswell.
They've only played 3 games. This is the thing. Would you go? I would go B, probably B plus, because of just the amount of games that they've played.
Yeah.
Reports have been positive about them from when they have played as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Thurston, I'm going to give them a B because I think they did well. They did well last season. Oh, sorry, they didn't do well last season, rather. And I think for them to be sitting above the relegation zone is a good point. Again, I was supposed to have somebody coming on from the club. Unfortunately, they've had have had something come up where they couldn't come in. All they've said is, in short, so far we need to be doing a lot better. We've got a young side; it's very much up and down. When it looks good, we're good. When we're poor, we're incredibly poor. And I think that's a brutally honest assessment there from Thurston, but fair play to him. So I'm giving him a B. Alex, Ipswich Athletic.
I'm gonna go C with Athletic, because there's with the club and the establishment that it's had over the years. I know it's had a lot of changes there, with changing venues and stuff like that. But I would expect them to be a lot higher.
Yeah.
And it is such a shame. But yeah, C, unfortunately for me.
Yeah. Adam, Curtin Athletic.
Difficult one there. Like, I don't think you can give it much more than a C, really. Like, you know, it's just a win. A win is the only thing that's given them points. But they managed to get the goal difference remarkably low due to that win.
They're a tough side, Curtin. They are a tough side.
Situation, but you can be a tough side, but you still got to get the results, and that's not where they're going to want to be.
Yeah. For me, Stonham Aspel, it's a C. 6. I can't. There's nothing else to be said on it. It's been a tough start to for them, rather. 6 defeats out of 6. I can't give them anything else than a C. Div 3 now. We've got 2 guests coming on for Div 3. So Bardwell Sports, Brunford United, 2 teams at the top there who have done incredibly well and have performed at a very, very high level, along with our guest for Alex. Do you want to introduce the team?
Yeah, Wasps.
And on that bombshell, we have for Witnesham Wasps, it's Lawrence coming into the building. Lawrence, how you doing, my man? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, chaps. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you so much for hanging around, mate. I know you've been in the green room patiently waiting. I really appreciate you coming onto the show. You are in that bracket right at the top of the table that is performing incredibly well at the start of the season. Look, 1 defeat and 6 victories. How do you reflect on the start of the season, and how annoying is it that you've had a great start, but 2 teams are doing unbelievably well as well?
Yeah, it's it's good. We've had a good start. We tend to do this most seasons anyway. The one loss that we've had is against Brantford, who were quite the force. When we played against them, they kept the ball really, really well. I think we gave them a little bit too much respect when we played against them. We try to be tight and compact, when maybe we should have just sort of stuck to our game and gone after them like we do with everyone else. But yeah, we've had a decent start. I think they're the only team that have given us any trouble so far in the first 7 games. So yeah, it's not been bad.
I know, obviously, you mentioned that. Is there something you can sort of say, moving into the next game that you have against them? Do you think that there will be a bit of a change in mentality now that you realise that you can give them a game and that you have done really well this season? Do you think maybe there will be a bit of a change of mentality?
Definitely. Definitely, yeah. I think we'll definitely go after him in the next game. We've got basically nothing to lose. Obviously, we've played him once. We lost against him, trying to play compact and hit him on the counter. In the game against him, we missed a penalty when we were 1-0 down, which could have changed the game completely and could have changed our mentality differently as well. But we'll see what happens in the return fixture. Hopefully, we can start playing football again before the end of the year.
I mean, how frustrating is that for a side like yourself? You're doing unbelievably well.
Yeah,
the form has been really, really impressive for you, and like a lot of teams who are hunting at the top of their divisions, you're having that cut short. It must be such a kick in the teeth, because you're not been one of those teams that's been hugely affected by COVID in terms of having lots of games postponed, just sitting there on 3 games, and you haven't really kickstarted your season. You guys you've done incredibly well. It must be really frustrating.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, you always try and play with the momentum, don't you? When you're picking up wins, you just want to. You can't wait for the next week. Everyone's buzzing at training. You roll into the next week, and you basically try and pick up from where you left off, which is something that we always want to try and do. We always bring it up in every game that we play. Let's go out there and let's do the same as we did last week, which is usually part of the team talk. But yeah, it is frustrating. But I mean, the safety of everyone's got to come first. I think everyone knows that, and if it means you have to put the season on pause for hopefully just a month, then so be it. We'll still continue to push on and hopefully look to gain promotion this season.
Adam, you look like you were poised with a question there.
Yeah, I think like is there a lot of pressure on the club to try and really make a go of it? Like, obviously, everyone knows what Brantford have got in the locker. What's the competition like amongst the league, and what's the chat like amongst the league to try and do the very best they can to topple that and topple the quality that they've got?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's difficult because I think Division 3 is one of the hardest divisions to get out of.
Yeah.
If you look at the last 2 seasons before this season, you had Tattenstone and Bedricksworth go up, and then they both went up again from Division 2. And then last season you had Melton and Elmswell, who are both doing well in Division 2 this season.
Yeah.
A lot of the time it's going to be new teams that are coming in and being chucked in like Brantford have this year. It's one of those things. It is frustrating. We're fully pushing to get that promotion. We have been ever since I took over. And I feel it's a little bit different this year. Before, we've kind of started really well and tended to fall off a little bit after Christmas. But there's a different feel about the club this year. We've got a lot more grit and determination about us. And I don't think we're going to be settling for anything less than promotion.
No, I think it's quality like what you're doing, and you're putting the pressure on. And I think really my question probably stemmed from the fact that you said that the one really tough game you had was against them, but you're still doing all you can to keep pushing the gas every single week. So
and the good thing you've said about that as well, to follow up on what Adam's just said, is that you know, and the team knows that based on how the result and the gameplay turned out, you know that you can give them a game. So going into the next one, there shouldn't really be anything to fear. I know they are the side that they are, and everyone talks about them in the manner they do, but you know, and you as I said, you've got nothing to fear really, have you, going into the next one?
Yeah, no, not at all. Like I said, in the first one, we gave them way too much respect because of the names that they had on their team sheet, which was partly down to us. It's partly down to some of the players as well, because we're all talking about it leading up to the game. We're all talking about who they've got, and we don't need to worry about that anymore. We've looked at a few of their results where they've been held quite closely, and haven't been rampant and scoring loads. So we feel, like I say, in the reverse fixture, we're definitely coming after them, and I definitely feel that we can take some points off them.
Love it, absolutely love it, mate. Really appreciate you coming on, and thanks for talking and representing the Witnesham Wasps. I know he's disappeared from the. I don't know where he's gone. I think he's in there. It's a weird time for him in there to be playing up, Adam. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's almost done that on purpose, to be honest. Embarrassing stuff like last week.
But yeah, Lawrence, really, really appreciate you coming on, mate. Again, thank you very much for staying around, and thanks for coming on the show and representing your club, mate.
No worries. Thanks for having us, chaps.
No worries, mate. Definitely. Cheers, mate. And moving on to the fourth place team, we have our second guest for Div 3. It's Jake Monahan. Jake, for Kesgrave Kestrel's manager, how are you doing, my man? Again, thank you so much for hanging around with us and bearing with us through tonight's show. I know you've been patiently waiting. You were the first person to join us before the show even went live. So
I know.
That's commitment. This is commitment, ladies and gentlemen. I love it.
Yeah, all the lads are doing a sweepstakes as if I'd been on before 11 o'clock. We were just seeing how we were getting on. But no, I'm joking. It was it's been a brilliant show again, guys. Well done. So
thank you. It's been tough.
This has been an absolute marathon tonight.
It's been mental. But let's not talk about us. Let's talk about you and the club so far. 6 games. You're in 4th place at the moment. 4 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss. You look at any other division, you'd probably be in the promotion spots right now. You're up against 3 tough teams in that division. How do you reflect on your start to the season? Are you happy with things? Do you think things could have gone slightly better? What's your overriding thought?
So, all things into perspective, like you say, it's at the start of the season, we lost 3 or 4 key players, our captain to senior and Thurlow Nunn sides. I mean, one of our players who was starting centre back last year is now playing Division 1 Thurlow North. So that says it all about the quality that we had in the squad. And I said it to you when you interviewed me at the start of the season. I said we've got players playing for us that that shouldn't be, in all honesty, but because of the type of team that we are, the type of football that we play, the fact that we're a young team, we've got players now coming through from our under 18s as well that are going into our reserve side. So we're an exciting team, and there's a reason why players of that quality were playing for us. You lose. We lost 3 out of the back 5 at the start of the season. You take that out of any team, they're going to struggle. But I think it took us 2 games, and even in that game, we managed to salvage a point against Stockhold, who shouldn't be as low as they are on the table. They're much better than their position suggests. And obviously, we had a bad day at the office, which teams have against Wanderers. But from then on in, we've gone on strength to strength, and we've rebuilt. We've worked hard as a team. The atmosphere is getting back to what it was last year. We won 7 in a row last year. I think we're 5 in a row now. Again, like you said, the break's almost coming at the worst time, but also the best time, because you finish on a 9-2. I mean, it's my best result ever in SIL football, and the team excites me. The team, I believe, exactly as the other teams in the top 5. Believe we're promotion candidates, and we should be. And it just goes to show that 1 draw, 1 loss, and that's the standard that's being set in Division 3 this year, which is really impressive.
Yeah, and from your perspective as well, you mentioned about the momentum there and how disappointing it was. Your next 2 games would have been against Bardwell and Brantford, rather.
Yeah, I mean, you could say they were coming at the best time. We were kind of going, well, if we're going to play them, now's the time to play them. I think we scored, 16 goals in our last 3 games. I mean, bar a couple of odd, silly mistakes at the back, we're flying at the minute. We've got players that are just, I feel like every time we go forward, we're going to score, which is such a good feeling to watch. The football's expansive, it's exciting, and I'm kind of gutted, because it would have been the perfect time to play them, and exactly how Witnesham feel the next time they play them, or when they do play them. There's a confidence now, which at the start of the season you were going, if you were looking at the names being signed, and you were going, I don't know. But I mean, I've watched, I think it's Brantford have had 2 0-0s at half time, I think, against Hope Church and Stage, and they're teams that are falling more in the middle of the table. Us promoting, pushing teams have got to be looking at that, going, well, if they're playing a low block and holding them for 45 minutes, then we can do even more than that, and we can look to take points off them 100%. Not just a draw. We look for all 3 points.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to the rest of the season, then, if we are going to get things up and running, are you confident you can be right up there in amongst that mix? Because as well as the top teams are doing, there's a whole chasing pack, and you're in that chasing pack right behind the front 3. Are you confident that you're going to be up there?
If you'd have asked me 2 games into the season, I would have said no, it's not going to happen, or it's going to be a hard task. But after the rebuild that we've done, and I thought the rebuild might have taken a bit longer to lose the players that we did and how we did at the stage of the season we did. It was always going to be tough, but I generally believe now, after the last few results, there's a momentum, there's a buzz, there's an aura back around the place again. And what we have to do, we've got, if the season to start again when we expect, we've got a run of 5 games where we would expect to take, almost maximum points out of. And, if we do that, we would be looking to be, almost 10 games unbeaten. And that would create a huge amount of momentum going into that second half of the season. And from there, I would expect confidence is high. And I just, I don't think there's a team in the league that we can't beat when we're on our day. Last season, we fell short in the big games. I'll make no mistake about that. Witnesham did the double over, and deservedly so. But this season, we feel in a better place. And, same with Bardwell. The interesting thing about Bardwell, we never played them last season because both games were postponed. So, like the rest of this division, a lot of unknown entities. So we'll see when we get to them.
Definitely. Jake, really appreciate you coming on the show, my man. Again, thank you very much for sticking around. I want you on at some point during the season when we get things back up and running, because I love chatting to you. But again, thank you so much for coming on and representing your club.
No worries. Good show again, guys.
Cheers.
See you later.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. let's quickly rattle our way through the rest of this division because I want to get the Super 6 done. I know people are asking about it, and apologies. We will promote this online, but it's just been such a show. It's just been such an absolutely mammoth show. We will talk about the Super 6, but let's just get the rest of this division done. Adam, AFC Wanderers.
I want to say B.
Yeah, fair enough. Alex, Stage.
B minus.
B minus.
B minus. It's only because we've known the players at Stage that have got, I think they should be a little bit higher.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. Unity, I'm gonna give them I'll give them I'd probably say C because of the fact they're on a -10 goal difference. That might be harsh, but I think that's it. It doesn't reflect well in my eyes. Adam, Laxfield.
Laxfield, I don't think they're just looking fair to middling. It's a B. There's a lot of teams in this middle group that are just bobbling along at the minute.
Yeah.
There's a couple there that are not doing as well as they like to, but Laxfield are just one game to another. They could easily slip down with the record they've got.
Yeah. Alex, Ipswich Exiles.
I'd say I'm going to go for a B with them as well, just because they are a club that I think should be up there with They've obviously, I think they've changed management round. I know Fraser was at Ransom's last season is now first team manager there. Yeah. So, and I'd hope that they'd start to push up and get up the league a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm going to give Great Blakenham a B because I think, I know that we're a new team this year. It's going to take some teams a lot longer to adjust to a division than others. Kind of keep the ground running. But for me, I think it's a B for them. Adam, Hope Church.
They're a B for me as well. Again, they're sort of not expecting too much from them, but they've got the important draws. They've just lifted them.
Yeah.
So 4 good results and 4 losses. I couldn't give them any less than a B from a team that I wouldn't expect massive things from at the moment.
Yeah. Alex, Wortham.
I don't really know too much about them, to be honest. But you've got to go looking at the results. Probably got to look at C+.
Yeah, fair enough. Ockhold, I'm going to give them, I think it's a C. And Adam, Aldborough.
Just has never got going for him, has it? C.
Yeah. That concludes the roundup. Oh my God, I'm exhausted. We have to get the Super 6 done, though, guys. Let's get that up on the chat. Adam, briefly talk us through everyone's performances this week. Let's just. This is obviously the chance to win a copy of Football Manager this season. We've had some good starts, but it's not been a great week for everyone, has it? It clearly goes to show we know more about non-league than we do about professional football.
Yeah,
but like 71 entrants this week. And we've still managed to get 15 people on the chart with 0 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
10 people on the chart with 0, whatever. Like, we have not done very well.
I'm happy I'm in the top 20 on this sheet, at least.
Like, I got a big fat 0 this week. I mean, it really does show that we know our non-league better than we know our league football. And where we all got punished is no one backed, really, generally speaking, no one backed our local lower league sides to pick up any form of result.
Wow.
And we all got punished for it. So it's going to be a very, very tasty month on the road to winning a copy of Football Manager or a wind-up radio, as someone suggested, for the old boys.
But there's a whole host of people at the top there who have done quite well, actually. 4 points for 6 upwards is a good return from what
was absolutely massive. And like I said, the average this week was probably about 1.2 to 1.5 points, which is easily our lowest.
Yeah.
One thing you have to do a little bit of a shout out to Kings Lynn with their win.
Yeah.
A massive win for them.
They've been drawn away, I think, to Portsmouth.
They have. So if Ipswich actually turned up, It could have been Ipswich versus Kings Lynn, but never mind. We'll move on from that because I don't want to get too much stick. Apart from the fact that Norwich won. I guarantee no one predicted Norwich to win, did they, Adam?
Loads of people did.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, and I'm not going to call them out, but quite a few Ipswich fans also predicted.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of talk in the chat, but when it comes through to actually predicting it, they're all saying Norwich are going to do well. That's all
That's
I'm
what
going
they
to say.
want a copy of FM, don't they?
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. So moving over to the full picture of where we're at, I will post these up as an actual graphic on Twitter, Facebook throughout the week as well, because obviously I know a lot of people have switched off at this point now, but this is where we're at in terms of an overall picture. I'm still, well, actually I'm in 21st place, so I'm relatively happy with that, but we've got Tommy Smith at the top.
Movers.
Sorry?
There's some huge movers this week. Jordan Mays was one of the biggest movers because so many people got 0 points. It only took you to get 2 points and you could jump about 7 places.
Yeah, there you go. So we've got Tommy Smith at the top, Spreads, Alex, Sean, Ben as the top 5. Tony and Jordan are on the same level of points, and then we've got a whole cluster of people right behind. Again, Tommy Smith he's been on absolute fire from the moment that these predictions have kicked off. We're gonna, Adam, have you sorted out the survey in the end, didn't you?
It's done. The link's been emailed to you.
Brilliant. I'm going to put that into the chat now. And again, I'll post this out on social media throughout the week. But these are the fixtures that we're going for. We're only got the 5 games this week because there's international fixtures. And a lot of our local sides are, well, Ipswich obviously can't play because of internationals and Norwich, etc. So the 5 games we've got are Colchester versus Leyton Orient, Walsall versus Southend, Cambridge United versus Barrow, Morecambe versus Stevenage, and Sutton versus Kings Lynn. So a lot of League 2 games and the 1 game from the National League. I am going to post the link for the Super 6 in Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you want to get involved in it, click on the link for your chance to win a copy of Football Manager. Again, we will post this out across our social medias throughout the week. We will post this out throughout the week because, again, we know that this point as the Super 6 is normally an hour in. We're doing it 2 hours and 40 minutes into the show today. So apologies for anybody who hasn't seen it. But again, we will post on social media. Guys, well, let's wrap it up. It's been an unbelievable show. It's been a mammoth show. It's been absolutely monumental. It's been crazy. I really appreciate everyone who's been watching the show. We were consistent at over 100 people up until about 20 minutes ago. And I'm not joking. We were a consistent number up until about 20 minutes ago. So we've done, it's been brilliant. And I can't thank you guys enough. I know we've had to rattle through some of these divisions very quickly, but as you can appreciate, covering 102 clubs in this time frame, it has been a mammoth task. But thank you to Adam, thank you to Alex, thank you to every single person who's come onto the show and represented their club. For everyone who continues to get involved in the comment section, you've absolutely smashed it tonight. It has been absolutely superb. I really appreciate everybody who has been involved in tonight's show. It has been absolutely mental. Podcast is going to be available within the next 48 hours. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to the entire thing, it will be across all podcast platforms for you guys to watch at any point. And I'll put timestamps on Twitter, on YouTube, all that kind of stuff. So if you only want to look at the SIL stuff, you want to look at Thurlow, Nunn, whatever the case may be, there will be timestamps of where you can go, where you guys can look and listen to this back. Honestly, it's been absolutely mental. I really, really appreciate everyone for coming on. We will be back next week. Not in this scale, but we will be back next week to talk about all of our local news. Adam is absolutely exhausted. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Mental. Absolutely mental. Goal of the months, goal entry competitions, local news will be here next week. I promise you that it will be here next week. But until next time, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Adios. Wow, wow, wow.